Good morning. That's where the microphone is. Hey, this morning's sock economy is brought to you by Cheers. Because these are the socks that I'm going to be wearing. It's your friendly neighborhood, unironic Mr. Rogers of Stocks, and we are looking at the stocks that you care about today. Is it a stock ASMR channel? Perhaps, but we are going to get excited, hype. We are going to ramp up with you guys in here right now. I hope you are ready for Professor Meatball. Let's give him a treat. Can you receipt this? Come on now. Come grab it. Here he comes. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Morning, Peter Smith. TYD. We got Howie Roseman. We got Lamar DeStar. Manny Jr. Sammy Rodriguez. Nathan Adams. We have a big fan from Korea. What's going on? Ants in the chat. My ant problem has begun again, but it's slightly better than before. You guys get to hear some meatball drinking. You guys get to watch that both of these stocks have barely moved in the extended hours, but they are green, green, green. AMC was able to hit 57.50 twice in the pre-market, so that's suspicious, but we will be able to understand exactly why. GME, on the other hand, got to a high of 215. In fact, that was probably right as the after hours ended, pre-market began. And you'll notice that GME is starting to become the definition of barcoding, jumping from 213 all the way up to 215 and back again on the minute chart. Y'all ready for the bell of the morning? We're gonna ring this in just a second. I'm gonna look at the AMC Stonko tracker as well as the GME one. Just in 1 minute. 1 minute to go. Let's make sure we get that GME price up here as well. Okay, there's that GME price. Oh, hello. There we go. And 30 seconds to go. Daniel says, Texas beat the Heat. Hope you guys beat the Heat. Hashtag beat the Heat today. 25 seconds. Gotta have my sweater. Gotta have my bowl. Gotta have cereal. It's Thursday, the penultimate day to the end of this week, but the brand new day in the beginning of this new quarter. So I hope you guys are excited. 3, 2, 1. Markets have opened. Bing, 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 bong. Bing, 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 bong. The sweater is on. The markets have opened. AMC is immediately out of the gate looking at 57 hungrily, then coming around down to its low 56 60s. AMC currently have 53,000 calls expiring tomorrow with 1.3 million shares available to borrow today. As we said yesterday, we had pretty suspicious, I don't have to mention it to you guys, pretty suspicious options chain for deep out of the money puts. And that's something that we have not yet seen before. In fact, we also had Ortex showing us drastically different short interest. I'm going to pull those up so I can take a look at those. Jezebel says, here we go. AMC now barely moving on the day. And has anyone told these two stocks that the market has already opened? GME drops 1% down to 211.92. AMC down 0.5% to 56.37. If this is a paper-handed event, throwing those scissors in the chat will make sense. People are getting impatient, even though it's been 1 month, less than a month since the previous gamma squeeze. It's kind of like if you're waiting for the ambulance, and the ambulance came like last month, and you're like, now the ambulance will never come, even though you've actually witnessed it show up at your doorstep. You're like, I'm too impatient. It's never gonna be here now. Happy Syrup Day, says Joel, or whatever y'all celebrate. Okay, happy Syrup Day. Kasim Shah says, hold on to your bananas, you filthy animals. 3 minutes into the trading day, and AMC looking like it's going to contest its VWAP. Currently underneath its 4 dynamic indicators, but that doesn't mean that 57 is not within reach. GME acting the strangest bear that you've ever seen. Let's take a look at the options chain. This is from yesterday. AMC looking sparse towers, monuments to suspicious options right now. Let's make sure that we also are taking a look at these Lux algorithm to make sure that we know where we're going. Wow, GME for yesterday we covered short interest going down to 10.5%. This morning Ortex is showing less than 10% for the first time since January. So Ortex, exactly what does this data mean? We're going to be diving into it. Captain Matty says, thanks for GME price, my bro. Of course. Even make it a little bit bigger. Anonymous company says, hedgies know we buy the dip. They don't go and let us go too low anymore. So buy what you can afford. This is something that we have noticed very recently, is that hedge funds have started changing the way they would drop the price of the stock. They know that we are prone to just buying any tasty dip. All right, let's take a look at where AMC is on the hourly. AMC short interest still at 18% that the exchange adjusted numbers reflect. Here's AMC on the Lux algorithm. Strong buy signal as of 4 days ago on the hourly. Let's go down to the minute. Just as the markets open, we saw that strong buy signal. Now in the pre-market, Lux algo is getting jittery. Castle Group Operations. Good morning, Andrew. When the squeeze happens, how do you sell your shares at high volatility? Sell at market price? We've had an entire video about the exit strategy on this channel before. Go ahead and check out that video first. Just search Andrew Mo exit strategy. You'll find 2 or 3 videos, even one with Trey, about exactly that. A great question. Captain Maddie says, missed the stocks today. Still bullish. GME and AMC both less than 1% down on the day as we struggle against paper handers. We got 1,000 of you in here. Congrats. Thanks for coming in here, showing up, watching Meatball gobble down some food. Yes, the ants are now back in town. Not sure if you can see, but I am covered in ants. Fantastic. Let's see where the other stocks are. DD is up 8% since the IPO yesterday. Wish is down 2.5%. I'm pretty sure DD IPO yesterday. That's the most price action we could see. Oh, this isn't even Apple. Most of the other stocks are pretty much sideways. Ethereum is down 2% today. Bitcoin is down 1%. Carnival, Nike, everything else seems to be trading mostly sideways. AMC catches a break, pushes past its VWAP, now coming up all the way over 4 different indicators. 57 is within reach. You guys heard me 5 minutes ago. $57 is in AMC's grasp. Green on the day. Doesn't even need 57 to be green. 1, 2, 3 green candles. Count them. Pushing all the way past 57. Oh man, this is the bullish pennant we talked about. We've been waiting for a break out of a clean break at 57. We'll see some fireworks soon. Thanks for the 250 of you that smashed that like. Yikes, wow, look at that go. AMC and Jimmy both struggling against their respective resistances. AMC, for one, has nothing preventing it from hitting 57.60. We control the float. Apes, we control the float. Oh, the stock market heard me. AMC Apes, there's 4.1 million apes out there. Probably more now than when we previously counted. AMC heading all the way past 57 now has contested 57.60. The next level of resistance. AMC and GameStop exploding. This the double squeeze. AMC and GME have both risen substantially. GME takes a level of rejection at the dynamic simple moving average. Now trending between its VWAP and its simple moving average. That's bullish consolidation there. Conceptual Logic says, we coming for $60, Kenny. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Gel is saying, did you remove the bull flag indicators? You mean these ones? They're part of Lux algorithm. They're not part of Webull. You can find both of those links in the description as well. Brandon East says, I started a Roth IRA, but Webull said I cannot transfer stocks internally and that I would need to buy separately in IRA. I have a Fidelity account. Should I transfer there and start a new IRA? So I'm big on IRAs, but I'm not big on regulations of transferring. So the hive mind, have at thee. Let's see if someone from the Moon Platoon can answer that question. AMC catches a topper at 57.71. Let's see if we can get caught by multiple levels of support below. Good morning, Terry Rose. Mama says, Andrew, remember, we are in a new quarter. New quarter, new rules, new pants, new socks, new... same Meatball. Meatball's waiting. So to get a little bit more treats above. Come on, buddy, you want a treat? There is no safe place for this food. I need a brand new container for this dog food. Jay Lisa's different ants, exactly. The Korean ants out there, the equivalent of apes, you guys are awesome. Real ants here in America, not as fun. Hey, come back here. Cole Buchanan says, what happens if hedgies go bankrupt? Oh, they're gonna have to be margin called first. For example, you can be margin called if you take out a margin loan to buy more AMC and GME, and then the price of the stocks go down. In fact, that's how it happened to a friend of mine, or at the very least, they were worried that they were gonna get margin called. If you get margin called, you don't immediately go default. You have to pay back your entire debt, and that is going to be a visit from your broker that says, hey, you need to liquidate parts of your positions in other stocks to pay back this particular debt, right? That's a robot telling you to do that. So hedge funds have no ability to avoid a margin call, which means if they somehow go default because multiple gamma squeeze events or perhaps multiple coerced buying events causes uncontrollable price action upward, that is a different question entirely. Fish Stickles. Who would paper hand after the news of the S3 withdrawal and the recent SEC news? People should be more bullish than ever at the moment. Exactamundo. Fish Stickles. Exactamundo. AMC and GameStop. So the shorts changed again. The shorts have changed again as of yesterday's video. AMC down to 18.26%, although Ortex claims that this is a increase. It is not, as of yesterday at least. That's for AMC. For GME, one of the first times I have witnessed the short interest dropping below 10% for GameStop. So that is where currently Ortex is. That's what Ortex has right now. Conceptual Logic says, guys, remember that they are dropping the price by tens of dollars a minute a month ago. The fact that we've consolidated is bullish. Is AMC in the threshold list yesterday? AMC has been on the threshold list, correct? Yo, Andrew. Hold on. Can you take a look at MMAT? We'll take a look at MMAT in just a second. JME says, if I change my shorts daily, because if I didn't, they would smell like dirty bananas. What is a dirty banana? A banana beyond its prime. I'm expecting the options chain to start picking up already. It's been about 15 minutes. Okay, option Sonar might have a 15-minute delay. Take a look at GME from yesterday. Remember those deep out of the money puts? Still there. Oops, not that one. This one. Good morning, Apes. It's Christina. Good morning, Andrew. 355 to C. GL says, remember, we buy each payday, but they catch a paycheck too. Robots creep me out. Some of you are asking about S3. I'll have to look more into that. Sanguine says, what do you get when you put diamonds under enormous amounts of pressure? I'm not paper handing, but I'm starting to get angry every day. The squeeze doesn't happen. Sanguine. You see that the pressure under these diamonds, they've been created for eons. These diamond hands will be forged in the fires of Valhalla. That's a fun transition. Whoa. Anyway, GME makes up all of the price action that the early morning paper hands costed, coming off of a strong bounce from the VWAP here. A lot of dynamic resistances ahead of GME, but still, right now we had one candle wick that contested the 50-day EMA. Daily reverse repost from yesterday was 991 billion. That's a brand new record. That is an all-time high. Tomorrow is 7-1. You know what that means. That's kind of annoying. That's every single day they're like, Okay, so the shorts have changed again. Maybe we should stop letting them change. Amazing AMC stock DD keeps getting removed. S3. The S3 withdrawal form was submitted yesterday, and in less than 24 hours, Apes figured out that hedge funds were using bonds to short the stock while on threshold restriction that spread it like wildfire. This community is amazing, and unstoppable hedgies are screwed. Okay. The good news on the S3. Lone Void, we've been at that breakout point and it hasn't been 48 hours yet. Am I wearing my lucky socks today? Razvan, you know it. This is the sock market. Go check out the very beginning of the live stream to see what kind of socks I got. MRIN suspended again. Up another 50% today. Let's look at the hourly. Look at the daily. Oh. So you bought it at $1, you say? So you go ahead into MRIN for $1 all the way as early as like a week ago. 7 days ago, you go into MRIN for $1. Then it has a coerced buying event all the way up to 1862. And then it drops back down to 950. You lost 50% of your profits immediately. Why were you so greedy? Then it comes all the way back up to nearly the exact same amount as your profits before. MRIN will be watching you for the rest of the day as well. Andre is asking for a possible buy. Go in. Enhance. Oops. Enhance this direction. I have autopilot on, and yet we still have some crowded signals. One strong buy signal between two strong sells. The oscillator is diverging in terms of a bearish slide. The slide is starting to taper. However, it's important to be able to understand that there is a potential bear trend that AMC is following so that it can actually bounce. $56 had 2 candle wicks all the way reaching down into that $56 zone. These are 2 tightly compacted levels of support. If you take a look at the volume, I think yesterday we were like, wow, AMC has less than 10 million in the first, AMC had like less than 15 million in the first 30 minutes. Now it has less than 7 million in the first 20 minutes. Volume has been halt. So let's take a look at these pennants here. Just understand that they are identified with lower volume. Here is that. Pennants are continuation patterns. It's important to look at the volume in a pennant. The period of consolidation should have lower volume, and the breakouts should occur on higher volume. So that is exactly what happened 20 days ago in that golden pennant from June 15th. Luckily, I have this coffee from last night, so I can just start slamming it. What's my opinion on the large decrease in volume? This is my opinion. It's on screen. Let's see. Black Widow is gonna kill. Yeah, I can't wait for box office records to be broken. Love my cold brew maker I got on Prime Day, says Jay. Oh, don't rub it in. I totally forgot about it. Never, Peter. Never! What's Peter saying? Six Friends Rosie says, yes, we will hold it for as long as it takes. All they have left is psychological warfare. Single mom life god. I don't day trade. Day trading can be very dangerous. Alan Tier, 5 months call in the money. What do you think? Wow. What strike price? And I often hear people ask me about specific options. Options trading is very difficult. It's very deadly. You can take a look at Tiblio in the description down below. Might help you with the Greek. Resort Dog says, my pour over Colombian. Wow. Oh, the ants. The ants are saying, yeah, from last night, yeah. It's gross. Huh. Those ants have dispersed. I think they're going over there. I moved the food over there now. Lone Voices, can you try the pennant again? And where you see it's going high. So for everyone who asks about that, I have a picture. There you go. There's that pennant right here. We are now closer to the, I would say right here, not at the tip of the red arrow, but one additional green bar next to it. And I will also zoom out in maybe like 5-ish minutes. Charles Hartman says, hey Andrew, just finished my last final in undergrad computer science. I've been watching you between studying. Thank you for helping me learn. Charles Hartman, that I'm taken to the heart, man. Thank you so much for that heartfelt message. Tutati says, if MOAS is the fever and buying stocks is the cowbell, then remember, we got a fever and the only prescription is more cowbell. The much more effective and less possible side effects than options. Thank you, Tutatis. Otherwise, I would have no idea what my prescription is right now. All right, about 1,500 of you in here. I'm not gonna say this more than once for the next 10 minutes. If you can make that math make sense, if you can make that like counter equal the number of people in here, that would just make my day. And it would get more people looking at the right messages when they take a look at Ortex and they get scared. They'll be able to come and ask me, hey, is this something to be worried about? And then I can tell them, this is just the plan. This is just the path that we have been tracking. But this is the first time we have seen them try this. Thank you. I was just waiting. What are you waiting for? He doesn't like the fact that there's ants up here. Oh, he just stepped on a couple. Let's see. When we drive in Lambos. Brandon says, could that spike be shorts covering and now selling the shares they bought? Remember, if they cover a short, they no longer have the share. So there it is for that answer. R3 drift, that is a crime. What happened? Blackberry says, how important is vacation time for trading volume? As in how much vacation time who takes? The employees of the company you're trading? Or you? Billy Napier, do we need high volume for the prices to increase if hedgies want to start buying back? Why would the hedgies want to start buying back when the price increases? Some of the logic in this chat needs a quick math change, a math injection into the logic here. I'm pretty sure I'm drinking this coffee correctly. Do I need to like? I think I need to shoot it. Backyard Music says, only if you say that Backyard Music is a pooper snooper and a bad doggy. Got him, zing. A triple top is not a bullish pattern. Let's see. Joanna Chestnut. All I want for Christmas are my 2 front teeth. Mike Roberts says, FYI in iOS, if you're watching in landscape mode and has chat on, the like is hidden. Ah, that is a fun FYI. Well, find it. Gunnar says, guys, give the stream a like. What's going on? Moon Platoon, Moon Gang. Throw those ducks and scissors in the chat to show consolidarity. It's like consolidation and solidarity together. It's consolidarity. And what we need right now is that consolidation. Here we have definition of the pennants right below in the bottom left. Pennants are continuation patterns where a period of consolidation is followed by a breakout used in technical analysis. There is that pennant that we have been following. Right now we're about another red or green candle bar outside of that red arrow on the right. And last time around, we had to take a few to be able to break out of the potential breakout zone. Most traders use pennants in conjunction with other forms of technical analysis that act as confirmation. So what we've been noticing is the ability for us to do this TA on the macro scale, but also be able to try and understand why during the after hours right now, we are confined to very, very slow arching movements. This kind of movement is not natural. One of the things that you'll note about GME as well is that we have been tracking that pattern as a cup and handle. So the more people that have a better understanding of exactly what kinds of signals that we are dealing with, then the easier it will be to take a look at the short interest on GME changing. Now this is not an equivalent exchange. Yesterday was at 10% and a half. Ortex is saying essentially a data correction has occurred, not an actual short covering. So down less than a percentage point brings us from 10% to below it for the first time since the January squeeze. AMC also was closing in on 100 million short interest yesterday, well, actually the day before yesterday, now has gone back down to 93 million. Ortex only gives us a piece of the actual amount of shorts that exist. But unfortunately, something about naked shorts is that there's a self-enforcement policy. We have seen countless times the ex-SEC enforcement lawyer tell us, hey, it really ends up being that the hedge funds need to catch themselves. If they don't say anything about their misdoings, we can't do much either. In fact, that is one of the better video clips that we have to remind you what the SEC is trying to do. SEC lawyer. No one makes a name for themselves taking action against the naked shorting. That it should be one of the headlines for the ages. Unfortunately, it was like a very small video maybe a month ago, and then people just started losing interest. Guys, remember that if they're talking about incentives now, you shouldn't pay attention to the fact
Shorting
that
still front
they
and
care.
center in the Reddit.
So this is I'm just going to get to the most important pieces of this video, but understand that back in the day, the SEC told us that naked shorting needs to be a self-policed process, that a naked short needs to find a cop buddy for themselves to rat on, right? Whistleblowers is such an important part of the SEC that they've been giving out record highs in terms of the payouts, fines that are funded by taxpayer dollars. Right now, that's what we're working with, right? Slap on the wrist fines to Robinhood, like the 70 million fine from yesterday, after months of litigation. Urban Warfare, thanks for upgrading to the Moon Platoon. You're an officer now. Congrats. I salute you. But reminder, right? This is Melissa Lee, the Naked Shorts a newscaster that also interviews some of the names in the game, such as the Jacob Frankel ex-SEC lawyer that essentially says no one makes a name for himself taking action against Naked Shorts. Right there.
Trade, many pointing to the recent swings in AMC being driven by so-called naked shorts, the illegal practice of short selling a stock without actually locating that stock to borrow. So is naked shorting happening in this market? Our next guest says, yes, it is. Let's bring in Jacob Frankel, former SEC enforcement lawyer. He is now a partner at Dickinson Wright. Jacob, great to have you with us.
Good to be back with you.
Simple as that. Naked shorting exists in this market, even though it's an illegal practice.
Well, it's not entirely illegal, but yes, in the large cap market, it absolutely would be illegal.
Sound right there. The SEC has part of its documents when abusive naked shorting isn't actually abusive and it actually is allowable. That was some documentation that we covered, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, talking exactly about, hey, if a naked short exists here, AMC wouldn't be able to get on the threshold securities list without a serious case of FTDs. You only FTD if you have naked shorted, and according to this lawyer for the SEC, ex-lawyer, maybe they had an X in front of him for a reason because he might have just said too much of the truth. He goes on and says that a large cap like AMC, naked shorting would 100% be illegal.
If a party is unable to locate the shares, borrow the shares, deliver the shares, yes, under those circumstances, it is illegal, and it's something that's been going on in the market for a long time. What really has happened here is companies like GameStop, AMC, all these meme stocks have brought naked short
illegal since the 2008-09 financial crisis. It's kind of like recovering from COVID. You recover from COVID, the Delta variant comes in, and you're like, wait a second, I've had COVID illegal in my body since 2008, the financial crisis, when it ravaged my system, destroyed a bunch of hardworking families, you know, the hardworking blood cells inside my body. And now you're saying that you're just going to bring it back? With what purpose? And you're saying that the only way to catch them is for them to report themselves? What kind of system are we living in right now? As we said, this explains the Ortex data here, right? Down to 18% on AMC, still substantial, but down to single digits on GME. That's the title of the video. AMC and GME shorts have once again changed drastically. The first time GME has gone under 10% since the at least reported under 10%. And Brian Baker, thanks for the quack quack. Hey, if you guys got quack quacks to share in the chat, I want to hear them. Vic's Phone, thanks for joining the Moon Platoon. And Michael Watson, in reference to the bonds, are they able to sell the bonds short and then use the money they get from the premiums to make more short positions? Well, selling the bonds naked, right? So you can sell them and don't cover those naked shorts, but that's going to be a different question entirely. So shorting the U.S. government, that's something that Austin Tobit and I have talked about yesterday. He'll come back exclusively to talk about it some more.
Selling really to the forefront of the market's interest. This is something that's going on for a very long time in the small cap market, and it's very much a problem.
Is it? Can you give us an idea of how big of a problem? You said it's existed for a long time. Is it rampant? Is it in small pockets of the market? Why isn't the SEC doing something about it if it is in fact illegal?
The short answer is I think it's difficult to find, and it's also not.
Did you just hear him say unironically? Short answer is. All right, when I give Meatball a treat, thank you guys for liking. Go ahead and put your mouse over the like button, and then when he catches this treat, hit that like.
A sexy type of case. I mean, the fact is the SEC has not brought many naked short cases. I mean, they did bring one about 3 weeks ago. So in 2021, involving more than 90 naked short sales from December 26th through July 2017. Broker-dealer made $1.6 million in commissions. It took 4 years for the SEC to bring that case.
4 years. Remember, right? We've had companies that have bankrupted themselves over the time it takes for SEC to look over their shoelaces. It is It's a disgrace. You come into the system and you're like, this is the part of the government that's supposed to find this kind of fraud. And so you go off and you never commit fraud. You go out into the world and thinking, oh, I'm going to buy these shares and hold them. I'm going to be a good boy and girl. I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to pet a dog. I'm going to watch Andrew Mo Money on YouTube. And then it turns out that these larger money barons go out and do exactly what we've always thought about but never would commit, right? This kind of manipulation and abuse is 4 years per investigation, according to this SEC enforcer.
2012, case against the Wolfson brothers, same thing. It took the SEC 5 years to bring a case, and what they charged were stock locate issues, order marking, failure to borrow, delivery violations. We're not seeing charges of fraud or manipulation. I think the reason for that is these cases are hard to find. They're tedious to put together, and it really is a challenge for the SEC to bring these cases.
Those are the same reasons, by the way. Those are 3 of the same reasons. And here it is, laziness. I am too lazy. And here's 3 reasons why I'm lazy. It's hard because I'm lazy. It takes a long time to put them together because I'm lazy. And then they're just challenging because imagine if you went to your boss and said, hey, I can't find the fraudulent activity in the job I'm supposed to do because it's just really hard. I mean, can you imagine hiring more people or getting smarter people to do the job, or looking at the barrels of evidence that the ape community has been providing since January? That would be really hard, and we would have to like start a Twitter team or something, like a social media campaign. Guys, those apes in the chat right now, you guys are throwing in, those are for the SEC really making it clear that, hey, it's really hard for us to do this. Maybe we won't.
But now that it is in the discussion, hopefully we will see more naked court cases, and particularly seeing it charged as fraud or manipulative activity.
Jacob, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. So if I were to try to think about how much of this naked shorting is actually going on in, let's say, an AMC, is that a lot of intraday shorting like we were talking about during the commercial break? Is it up to an option expiration and then kind of gets flattened out? How big is it, do you think, around, aside from those 2 things?
Well, that's really the challenge. Is we really don't know, because a lot of it turns on, it's a very firm specific analysis. Is there coordination? Is there manipulative activity?
You can't be, it's not firm specific. You're like, this is like, if there's a drug epidemic at your middle school, you're not going to be like, well, this is a like child-specific problem, right? It's an epidemic. We know that because of the fact that Citadel went in and swooped up Melvin when they were about to default, right? If Melvin defaulted back in January, the squeeze is over. And then there would be no YouTube sensation of trying to get more people financially educated. Then there would be no like second Occupy Wall Street movement, understanding that this is one of the things that everyone can get behind. Where are my attendees? Where are my attendees? I am officially vested in this fight against the elite, like deleting the elite, eating the rich. Why did this all happen? Because one big hedge fund, not case specific, one big hedge fund went in and saved another slightly less big hedge fund because of a position that they were taking to destroy two companies, but two companies that we ultimately care about a lot. And they thought they could just delete them, snap them away, and no one would care 2 bits. We cared.
Is it intraday, as you point out? I mean, when I was at the Commission and Enforcement, I did a manipulation case that involved marking the close at a quarter end, looking only at 30 minutes of trading. It does not have to be over an extended period of time. The issue is identifying it. And the people who see it,
I see you, Brian Baker, Charlie Brown's teacher, blah, 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 blah.
or see it most closely are those who are in the market. And then the question then is, are they willing to bring that information directly to the attention of the SEC?
That's it, right? What are the incentives for people to actually whistleblow? We've been talking about interns, like it's a half joke, half probably true. Interns hanging out in these live chats, taking down notes for their hedge funds, right? Citadel interns. Melvin interns, if you're currently in the chat, just know that the SEC is paying top dollar. They would like you to rat on your employers. In fact, that's one of the only things that they could do. That's one of the only incentives. They're like, hey, we pay top dollar for you to do our job for us so that we don't have to. Seriously. It's not policed if it's self-policed. Hashtag, it's not policed if it's self-policed. Tag me on the Twitterverse, on the Instagramverse. It's not policed if it's self-policed. Naked shorts doesn't make sense to just tell people, yeah, it'll just fix itself.
Which often then means also poking around in that company's books. So, and I should also add, the short sellers for a long time, and probably into this day, are an important source of information for the SEC's enforcement division. By no means do I want to suggest the SEC, has turned a blind eye. On the other hand, we really have not seen that many cases over the years involving fraud on the short side.
We haven't. It's okay. Let's build this logically. Okay, if we can take Jacob, and we can call him Jacob. If we can call you Jacob, take his argument from the ground up. We can't find them because they need a self-report. We haven't found many cases of them. Must mean that there's not a lot of cases out there. So he says that naked shorting, if it's for a large cap company like AMC, would 100% be illegal. However, we haven't seen that much fraudulent activity with these kinds of situations. However, they do have to report themselves if we are to find them, and they take 4 years at least to complete.
I like how you say you don't want to say the SEC is turning a blind eye, but basically implying that the SEC is turning a blind eye, because that's exactly what you're doing, Jay. I mean, if I'm watching this,
That is the patented mic drop from Melissa. Let's listen once more. He doesn't want to say they're not turning a blind eye, but it really sounds like that's exactly what you're saying.
I'm going to say the SEC is turning a blind eye, but basically implying that the SEC is turning a blind eye, because that's exactly what you're doing, Jay. I mean, if I'm watching this, I'm thinking, you know what? The SEC doesn't want to investigate the source of so many tips that it gets into other manipulative practices or deceptive practices, etc.
But in fairness, it also is a matter of the information actually being brought to the attention of the SEC. In other words, while the SEC has powerful tools, if you think about it, what would satisfy the market most from an enforcement perspective? To see a naked short case brought quickly, so it has an impact. And I shared with you two examples where it took 4 years and 5 years to actually bring the case.
He's really making his own case. He's like, it takes a long time. You want us to go through a 5-year case? Okay. I mean, you're not going to see any results for 5 years. People who trust the SEC to do their job, sure. But it really is going to take 2 steps. It's going to take, 1, someone else do their job for them. And 2, it's going to take a long time. Those are the 2 steps. Both of which are impossible to satisfy me. You cannot satisfy me, SEC. Down 10%, this is what down to below 10% is where GME's short interest is, and AMC is at 18.24%, down from 100 just 2 days ago. Short interest now is only at 93.33 million. AMC flickers between life, death. Any SpongeBob fans here? GME retakes the 50-day EMA, this white line, and now is going 215 as its high. This is what it achieved in the pre-market, and let's see if it can sustain this price movement up above 214.
Problem is, the agency needs to see the conduct, be able to identify it, and then look at the broker dealer, look at the broker dealer's record, look at the fund's record, look at the trader's records, talk to individuals. These are very tedious cases to put together, and I think as we have a heightened sensitivity to this issue in the market, brought to the forefront by higher profile companies and higher profile meme trading activity, maybe we will more likely see more cases in this area. But up until now, we've only seen short sale fraud cases favoring activity in the small cap market, because that tends to be a much lower hanging fruit.
Jacob, great to get your thoughts as always. Thank you, Jacob Frankel. Karen, you've been looking into this sort of in your own way, making calls to...
Well, I wonder if there's not the impetus to do anything with naked short selling now, because the perception is it's the big players that are naked shorting, if anyone's naked shorting, and I still don't know her name, even though they just said her name, but
she's making a really great point. She's like, what if it's the big players that are preventing us from actually getting these investigations done? That's why they take years. They have teams of lawyers. They meant to make this hard. We do clown on the SEC a lot. But the fact is, maybe it's that the people that we have been railing against, the people that we say are manipulating, are really good at keeping this tied up in the courts.
They're getting slaughtered. And so, okay.
Let it be.
Let it be, yeah, you know. It's the law of the jungle, I guess.
Law of the jungle, baby.
Because it does seem like they're sort of saying, we're not going to pursue it.
Yeah, Tim, or they're pursuing it, and it'll be 3 years, 4 years before we see any sort of fruits of that labor.
Yeah, look, if there's a public perception that naked short sellers, or first of all, that short sellers, because naked short sellers, we all agree, is not something that should be happening. And largely, Jacob Frankel said it's illegal. It's not always illegal. But that's
the worst part, is that you can actually expect these pundits to say, remember, it's not always illegal. And in that case where they bring it to court, you know that the lawyers for the manipulators are going to say it's that specific case where it's not illegal, right? It's like saying arson is not always illegal. When you bring it to court, you are going to be able to make the argument, since the entire world seems to be under the impression that there are certain exceptions, that you get to be the exception to the rule, because you're priming the audience, the mainstream media, that there are exceptions and you get to be one.
If this is ultimately hurting the retail investor, and that, you know, the commission, the SEC is certainly out there to protect the interests of the broader investing public, and I'd say on some level even more so than the institutional community, that maybe this is the catalyst to spend more time and more focus on this. It's just interesting because as we've talked about the GameStop, the Reddit rebellion, the Apes over the last 3 to 6 months, the story has really been more about possible manipulation, possible disclosure dynamics.
I'm glad that everybody's on board. I mean, I don't think this guy's talked yet. He's a little grumpy looking, but remember when Melissa was in this spot right here, the Pikachu face, saying naked shorts, yeah, and now she gets a big old swear. As a reminder, why is Black Widow performing well this weekend or whenever it comes out important? I think it is coming out, right? So why is that important? The fundamentals are how old money changes their mind about these specific stocks. And the reason why people have had a 1 penny prediction for AMC for a while is because they said AMC's debt is going to be untenable. It's not a plan that can sustain itself. So with one of the worst like to dislike ratios possible out there, this is from this month. This month, essentially right before the gamma squeeze. How can you be more wrong? This is from June 3rd, 2021. Let's look at where AMC was back in June 3rd. I think that was maybe 1 or 2 days before that gamma squeeze. Let's go back to the daily, and then we can take a look at what day this is. Maybe. This is, usually I have a tool that tells me what day this is, but probably around right here is the beginning of June. So this is while AMC is going 130% up, someone comes out with a 1 penny price target for AMC. And the reason why this video is so important, because one, it makes you feel real good. It makes you feel real good when you zoom out and say, hey, take a look at how dumb people were to say that AMC is going to go back to $10 when it sustained this price action for an entire entire month, entire 30 days. It is an important distinction between stagnation, consolidation, strong volume choices versus no volume. It's stagnating. It's getting challenged. It's not doing the thing it's supposed to do. I think AMC is exactly where it needs to be for its pennant to actually track. And if you want to hear a second opinion, here's the man with the 1 penny AMC price prediction that has been shockingly wrong, shockingly quickly.
came on this very show after slapping a penny price target on AMC shares, saying there was no way AMC would be able to pay down its debts. Since then, the company has raised more than $1.2 billion in equity and added $30 billion to its market cap. Let's welcome back Rich Greenfield of Lightshed Partners. Rich, great to have you with us. And I know that you have the model.
Speaking of models, throw those rockets in the chat for the mods. John and Jessa, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Anybody else that I haven't seen yet? Thank you guys for modding this channel. Wouldn't be possible without you. Once again, you guys saw that dog trick, right? You guys got us up to 1,000 likes. I appreciate it. Frankie Malik says, all of this makes me feel like the short squeeze is going to happen this year. Is going to happen this year. I am a sad ape because you're going to have to pay short-term capital gains taxes. I know. I'm sorry.
Navigate the same time. Has anything changed? Has AMC at least given itself a small lifeline to sort of navigate the very, very rough waters of this reopening?
That's hilarious. Can I actually just look at what the Hive Mind, what was the price of AMC on June 3rd, 2021?
Well, let's just step back. I want to address something that you and the Fast Money team were just talking about, in terms of diamond hands. I mean, just to set the floor in facts, in the last 5 trading days, it's traded 3.2 billion shares. There's only 512 million shares of AMC outstanding after today's 11 million share sales. So the idea that this is just people hold.
So this is the guy with a $1 share price when AMC hit 50. Okay. So then it goes up to 70 when it hits the gamma squeeze. And then he must have had to wear a bag for a week and a half.
They're never going to sell. Just explain, how is this thing traded 3.2 billion shares? The amount of volume, it's the most traded stock in the entire world over the course of the last month. This thing is trading like liquid. There's no short squeeze. I mean, a short squeeze is when you can't get out. There's not, where the short interest is so high relative to what it's trading. Anyone could be out of their short position in 4 minutes. There's no liquidity issue here. This thing trades like water. And so I think there's a bit of a misperception that what's really going on is just retail buying from other people in retail. And, sort of what was just being discussed, someone's making a lot of money here, and a lot of people are going to be left holding the bag because
someone's making a lot of money. This is the classic prisoner's dilemma to help divide the apes. How would you like to divide the apes today? Would you like to FOMO them out of each of the competitive stocks, or would you like to focus on one stock and say someone's going to sell before you do, right? They're going to get out before you, and that means panic, bank run. They are trying to create the sense that your ape's friends, your ape comrades, the Moon Platoon, the Meatball Army are not to be trusted. This is exactly the same divide and conquer tactics when you're in wartime. So if they're going to use actual wartime tactics of propaganda and manipulating the perception of the mass media, then why aren't we at full out war? Right? We're being civil over here. They're the ones that are not pulling any stops. We had a small green candle on both AMC and GME. GME has hit its high of 216.81. AMC still trending underneath its 50-day EMA, this white line here. Track it here on your charts to make sure that this level of resistance is known, because it's been very, very relevant to the price action for the last few days there. Free tip from yours truly.
At the end of the day, the fundamentals here just don't support the valuation. I mean, Cinemark, the exact same company. I mean, same industry, same, they don't own their theaters. They have the same movies that come out, same EBITDA in 2019, effectively as AMC. It's a $5 billion enterprise value. AMC is at $30 billion. Exact same companies.
Cinemark, it's the same company. It's worth 6 times less. Must mean that my monkey brain only sees 2 companies and have to compare them 1 to 1.
And one company's got a stronger balance sheet, Cinemark, than AMC does. And so this is just factually, bonkers. Literally, when you look at sort of the relative positioning of these 2 companies in the same exact industry.
So is there any way, Rich, in your mind to explain this? I mean, you've been through this.
Sure. You can definitely explain this. No, you can explain this. Absolutely. I mean, when you have sort of, a lot of investors buying dramatically out of the money call options and sort of create.
That actually is happening. Every single day, AMC continues to get more and more call options out of the money. So right here, yesterday we had 5 million alone. Go back to the 22nd, and you'll be able to see even crazier numbers, such as 5 million. but go even further back, and you'll see like 14 million. But if it's at least 5 million floor per day, no one has $5 million a day. This is a concerted group of apes coming out with more and more far right side call options. And this is true, right? Somebody's selling them. Somebody's making money on those premiums, because throwing a deep out of the money call right now is a lot like throwing money directly to whoever's selling those calls.
Creating this effective gamma squeeze. I mean, and you have a lot of, funds that are playing on momentum as well. You can see how these spikes happen up and down. I mean, just look at the swings that happened today. Again, cutting through it all, though, ultimately, can this company actually delever? I mean, the only way to answer your question, Melissa, of like how this company could save itself from going out of business, it still has to issue 1 to 200 million more shares. I mean, it's losing money every day. It didn't make money, as you pointed out, in 2019. This company needs to raise a lot more capital. You saw what happened when it raised 11 million.
Meatball's Treats wants to look at my EMA settings. Go to the indicators on the top left of your board, press edit, and then take a look at my MA, 15-day, my EMA at 50, and at 200. So I have two different EMAs here, 50 and 200. The rest doesn't matter. You can decide which one of those EMAs actually appear. Right now I have the white line as the 50-day, purple line as the 200-day.
Million shares today. It probably needs to raise 150 million more shares at this stock price, let alone what its real stock price should be, where it would have to issue hundreds of millions of more shares. They don't have the authorization, though, to do that. So they need all of these retail shareholders to actually vote in favor of the company massively diluting them.
It seems like he says the only thing that AMC... So first of all, he's not AMC's friend. This is pretty clear. Unless you have just joined the broadcast, welcome to the broadcast. This man, who is in a perfect little blurry picture right now, whistling to the tune of AMC to a penny, is telling you that he is not your friend. And what he would like is for all of the retailers, us, to vote yes on the whether or not to dilute AMC. So let's think about his incentives for now calling AMC to $1 and telling us exactly how we could save ourselves. All right? Does his incentives match his advice? That's the question here. But do make sure to vote.
Over the coming year. And so it's going to be very interesting whether Adam Aron can convince them to be diluted, because without dilution, they're really between a rock and a hard place. Like, they have debt covenants. They have to get back to 85% of box office by Q4 in terms of attendance, or they're going to start tripping covenants. So they need
Andre, I can see you.
More equity, and soon.
Rich, I think the world of you. It's Guy, by the way. You've been coming on the network with us for years, and I think you do extraordinarily thoughtful work, and I still do, by the way. This has not changed, because I don't think the story has changed. I think the only thing that has is the stock price. My question to you, though, is what have you learned since the date Mel mentioned, that March date? Have you learned anything in terms of, the way you present things, just anything about it?
I know that he has to kind of think on the fly of what to say, but it really sounds like, have you learned anything from it really sounds like, have you learned anything, especially how to present information, because it doesn't seem like you're very good at that. I know you don't have a script in front of you, neither do I. It sounds like you're not doing a good job. Have you learned anything recently? The fact the man is clowned on, not even on purpose.
The business, because it has fundamentally changed now over the last 4 or 5 months in terms of your community.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'd say from an industry standpoint, I think what's interesting, and you had Ari Emanuel was on CNBC earlier. They reported their first quarter at Endeavor as a public company, and Ari last night on their earnings call was pretty clear that the film industry is changing, and we're finding sort of a new way in which movies are released. And so you're not going to see the same type of theatrical windows. Movies are going to come much, much faster to streaming and avoid theaters or be shorter in theaters. And so the film industry is fundamentally changing. That dynamic is completely lost on the retail buyer of this. They're not.
That's true. We don't care about the fundamentals. And that's our strength, right? Anybody who tells you that this is something that people are going to have to reckon with, people are going to have to understand the fundamentals eventually, why? Right? Why is that? At the end of the day, it's all about catalysts. It's about how you interpret whether or not we are ready for a global pandemic to bounce back, or we're ready for the next box office breakthrough, right? These fundamentals are as powerful catalysts as the fact that AMC still has significant debt. These are the same stories as the technicals not being dependent on the fundamentals. These are different catalysts that are working their magic differently.
Because they look at the financials. They're not buying it because they understand the future of this company.
Paul Peterson, thank you. He says, glad I found you, learning a lot. Thanks for the excellent service you provide, making the stock market easier to understand. Thank you, Paul Peterson. That means a lot.
I mean, if they were excited about the industry, they'd be buying Cinemark and IMAX and many other stocks. That's not happening. They're simply just buying it because somebody else on a Reddit message board told them to go buy it. So it's sort of this follow the herd. And again,
I am the watchdog is asking, Andrew, I'm new to stocks. Excuse my ignorance. People are saying hedge funds are losing billions. It's true. Why is the stock still struggling to break to 60? That does not, it's not related how much money these hedge funds are losing daily. That is interest, right? They have to pay just to afford the short position that they're in. Do you have to pay? No. You put your stocks into long positions and that costs you nothing. The stock goes up, costs you nothing. Stock goes down, costs you nothing. It's all unrealized until you sell. And right now, since we're holding for a squeeze, at least I am, up to you, I'm not a financial advisor, this is currently a game of time, and time is on our side.
I don't know what ends this. I really have no idea. You know, the fact that I think it, pre-open this morning, I think it was trading at like $75 a share. Yeah, I have no idea what changes the course of this stock.
This episode of SNL sucks, says Brendan Burns.
All I know is from an earnings standpoint, this company will struggle to ever get back to what it earned in 2019, given the changes in the film industry. It's way behind on its rent payment, so it's got a lot of deferred rent. It's way behind on its capital improvement, so its CapEx has to go up. And so it's got higher rent expense, higher CapEx, and it probably never earns the EBITDA it earned in 2019. That's a really tough place to be when you're still sitting on billions of dollars of debt. I just hope Adam is smart enough to somehow convince all of these shareholders to absorb, massive dilution from here.
Rich, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Nathan Adams, I did not tell you.
Yes, always.
All of your financial decisions are your own.
Good to
Thanks
talk
for having
to you.
me.
Rich Greenfield, Lightshed Partners. Karen Feinerman, Adam Aaron has
happy Canada Day. Happy Syrup Day, guys.
Has earned the name Silverback amongst this Reddit community for his support of the Diane Fossey organization. Do you think that he will have the power to convince people that dilution may be in the end in their best interest if it actually saves the company?
Well, he has so far up to here. I mean, if you had said 2 months ago, listen, you're going to be able to issue, $600 million worth of stock at, 53 was the average price ish, maybe. That would have seemed highly unlikely. I mean, and yet here we are. So if he's like, guys, I need your help. It's really risky, but I need your help. Who knows? This is insanity, but good for him.
It's always like a very weird beat change when another person starts talking that I've not heard ever before, and hasn't been talking for the whole interview. However, what I would say is right now it is becoming like a who knows, right? Adam Aaron has his own incentives. He is the silverback of the AMC Apes, and he would like to get AMC on track for the fundamentals. That said, will we have to now align Adam Aaron's incentives to this 1 cent price man?
For him for navigating it. I don't get it as a long shareholder. I don't get it.
I don't think we could find a single investor IRL. You know how you play that game, like who would do this?
IRL,
raise your hand.
in real life.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Is that what that means?
real
I
life.
thought that was an internet.
Oh my God, they're actually at a table together.
It is an internet. But can you find a single person IRL who would buy that stock right here? Would buy it right here as an investment?
Excuse me? I'm surprised I've never gotten this far into this clip. Have you seen anyone IRL before buy a stock? Like they have to go and talk to a broker on the phone, and they have to then IRL get the share in their hand. Have you ever seen that IRL? Because I haven't.
Thinking about long term, after everything we just discussed, after everything that Rich, in a very sober manner, just discussed, there's no fundamental reason for it, right? So we have a stock market mania. We have people doing things that are against their best interest.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, it's your show.
I know. That question was rhetorical. On Wall Street, aren't there traders out there on various desks who simply trade momentum? There's no fundamental reason for a swing higher or a swing lower, but
I have a new proposal. Hashtag fundamentals. Hashtag fundamentals. Hashtag AMC squeeze. Bring it back to the Andrew Mo Money channel, guys. Hashtag fundamentals. Get rid of the N.
Trader on that Wall Street trading desk trades the momentum. And yet, why are we criticizing these investors for trading the momentum?
They're largely quantitatively based. I mean, they're basically, it doesn't matter if it's AMC or some other ticker, right? They're taking all these other inputs. I mean, what we're just describing here is that this is this diamond hand situation, stick it to whoever, that sort of thing. It's a game. They're playing it on their iPhone. And again, if that's what you're in it for, have at it, but understand that this stock will likely be much, much lower from here, probably 50% in a month from now.
I missed the live have at it's with Dan, with Salty
right?
Dan.
It's different when it's live.
I don't think I can only speak for myself, but I don't think I'm criticizing. I'm not criticizing this crowd at all. I've said a number of times during GameStop that these folks, these guys and gals, I mean, some of them are brilliant and actually understand the things that the people get paid to understand don't. It's fascinating to me. Gamma and all the options activity that you've seen, right? And all the not statements, but all the metrics you use with options, they understand it intuitively. So I think it's fantastic. We point this out because I think we have an obligation to point out when things just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense right now. And by the way, I'm still not convinced there's not the Mel Gibson Braveheart character.
I was right. This is a grumpy guy. This grumpy guy is not on our side. He's very grumpy. He looks grumpy. He talks grumpy. Turns out he was.
They're somehow using the crowd to his advantage. There's some group of people out there.
We don't know. We don't know about
and there's no question to me that the same way, whatever they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, they're using these folks on these Reddit boards to their advantage as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Costco in the background of that clip. All right, so understanding the pennant that we have been tracking since the beginning of June. Lower consolidation, breakout should occur on higher volume. Well, what lower consolidation can we have than 1 hour into the trading day? We only have 15 million volume on AMC. Got a little bit better than the 6.5 we had first 20 minutes, but still pitiful volume, and looks like it's exactly what it takes to form a pennant. It takes a lot to bake a perfect cake. And understanding it is the key here. Let's take a look at how that flagpole is formed, and then we can take a look at the picture of that pennant right here. Look, AMC, this is zooming out to a day ago worth of price action, and we bounced underneath that golden pennant before until we broke out at $40, headed all the way up to 65. Now that white pennant is the one that we're currently waiting to break out from. Okay, whoa, where are you going? Options chain. GameStop volume at 700K, 800K right now. Not even a million on the day. It's already been an hour of trading. So in a regular options chain looks like this. This is from a week ago. We got 5 million on a 145. We had 7 million calls at 55. These are battleground numbers. $60 at $5 million worth of calls. Today's the first day of a new quarter. Dawn of a new day. From yesterday, we had the battlegrounds at 60. Once again, $3 million worth of puts versus $3 million versus calls. So that ramp up here is starting to look like just a number of destinations. It's starting to look like the Midwest, right? You got your largest yarn ball in the world over here. You got your, I don't know, Twin Cities over there. You got Canada all the way on the far right. But there's nothing else to see on your road trip up to the next gamma squeeze. That's important. We need more ramp. A gamma ramp that leads us into a gamma squeeze involves more milestones than just the $70, $60 mental strikes. Hemendra says he is grumpy because he's realizing his knowledge is what an average ape possesses. When you say when you talked about gamma, when you just shout out a Greek letter and think that that's a financial thingamajig, maybe it's time for you to not be a financial newscaster anymore. Let's see. Should put the AMC in front of the show name. AMC NBC. Oh, Jens Gamble says, great sense of humor today, Andrew. Love it. You make us giggle here at work. And that's the key here. A day of low volatility, a day of low price action. It's time to make sure that you guys are still awake back there at home. A quick slap on the face. And Deviant Ways has caught up. Hashtag fundamentals. He loves it. They love it. Let's take a look at how many options expiring today for AMC. So tomorrow, July 2nd, 53,000 calls expiring. Multiply that by 100 for the number of shares. So that is 5 million shares expiring in the money. How many of those are hedged? We'll have to find out when Monday and Tuesday rolls around. We smooth-brained apes. Blazer Dave says these people are getting angry because the veil is being ripped off of the hanger and they are not as smart as they portray themselves to be. Oh, that's the kicker right there. Is that we had a chance to take a look at the ex-SEC lawyer talk again. So it's not his only time on the show. He actually comes back and he drops a couple more truth bombs on CNBC. I think even more recently. So 3 weeks ago, he said no one makes a name for themselves for taking action against naked shorts. Then I think he comes back on and says, hold on, let me just find it. Oh yeah, and there's also former SEC chairman. So I'm going to just search Jacob Frankel. Jacob. SEC should have imposed a trading suspension. This is from a more recent CNBC interview, and it's not even with Melissa Lee. I don't think we've actually even seen this
Jacob
on the channel.
Frankel of Dickinson Wright joins me now. Jacob, you think so, but my question is...
Yeah, this is from the same day, but we have never seen this clip on the channel before.
This is a free market, right? And as long as...
Daniel says, I declare gamma!
Going in... Shouldn't we let it run?
There's no question about it, and I'm certainly not advocating that there be that level of micro regulation of trading. What we're really talking about here is the inherent conflict between the market's regulatory role and its role as a commercial enterprise.
Matt is wondering how to enter the art contest that we have. If you have fan art of Andrew or Professor Meatball, send it to andrewmobusiness@gmail.com or on Instagram at andrewmomoney, right below my face.
What we're talking about here is the inherent conflict between the market's regulatory role and its role as a commercial enterprise. Back when I was at the SEC, I seem to remember it was around 1994, the SEC's Division of Market Regulation actually issued a report that said it would be difficult to create or to provide for different tiers of regulation for retail institutional market participants and still maintain fair and orderly equity markets. What it really boils down to it...
That sounded like an actual anvil. Falling outside of CNBC headquarters. Two Wheel Freedom says, you know you're an AMC GME ape when you hate 3-day weekends. Yeah, get out of here with that. Monday, come on back. 4th of July, celebrating no taxation or without representation is a perfect time to say, hey, dark pools, understanding the legitimacy of lit exchanges versus dark pools, understanding legitimacy of redirecting our sell and buy orders to the markets that they want to manipulate the price with. All of that is taxation without representation. Contract for differencing, every piece of that is us participating in a democratic system called the stock economy and us not having our voices heard.
What is the SEC's mission? The two fundamental prongs are, number one, to protect investors, number two, to maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets. And the question is this notion of fair and orderly markets now some type of securities regulation rhetoric?
Well, is this,
and the other question,
look at GameStop, look at AMC, is this fair and orderly enough? Right?
I think I have a ship going on in the comments, Jessa and AZ Backpack. What's going on here? No nookie, unless I'm there. Unless I can consent. Just kidding.
Because, I mean, you don't want your markets completely orderly, right? Because that's no fun.
Of course not.
You need some volatility to make some money, right?
John, but going back to in fact, my commentary on CNBC about GameStop early on, what happened in GameStop is you had a company was blowing through circuit breakers, the market circuit breakers, time and time again. I seem to remember it was like 10 circuit breakers over 2 days. I think the SEC completely dropped the ball in GameStop.
So what should they have done?
What the SEC should have done in GameStop, in my opinion, and I said this back then, was impose a trading suspension. The whole purpose of a trading suspension is to protect the public interest, protect investors. It's an administrative determination. The stock could have resumed trading right away. But again, it doesn't mean a stock should be trading only in penny or quarter increments. But
so Jacob Frankel actually repeats a point that he made all the way back in January or February, which is that he thought that the entire GameStop price action should have been suspended for days. And that is basically, if that happened, it would have been a much more violent Occupy Wall Street #2. And by violent, I mean like explosive, right? It would have had a lot more reverberations across the market. If it was brokers restricting buy, that would have made people very angry. And it did. But if it was the SEC imposing a multi-day long suspension, that would have caused an uproar. AZ Backpack, I love you too.
If they had done that, as it was, right, when Robinhood came out and limited trading just on the Robinhood app, there were all kinds of voices crying conspiracy, saying that they were coming in to save the hedge funds, save the short sellers. That's not what was going on. But if the SEC had come in when the stock's going up and it appears like retail investors are the beneficiaries, wouldn't that have hurt its credibility?
Well, it comes back to what
Trey Spider is here, and Mark Sissel says, here comes the spoon.
Investors.
Beneficiaries, wouldn't that have hurt its credibility?
Well, it comes back to what does it mean? What is the SEC's mission to protect investors? It doesn't say retail investors, it's investors. The market is retail and institutional investors. I'm not saying it should be favoring retail over institutional over short sellers. The fact is, the SEC has an important role. I don't think it should be creating regulations that, well, I use the phrase again, sort of micro-regulate, micromanage the trading. On the other hand, I think there was a very different issue, in GameStop, which hopefully the SEC is looking at, which is whether
it's hilarious when you no longer work at the company and you're like, hopefully my bosses and my coworkers that still work there are doing the thing. Hint, hint, wink, wink. What the heck is happening here on actual public TV, national live TV? What's going on?
Whether there was actual stock manipulation involved there. But back to your fundamental.
What would that look like? I mean, to me, it seems like AMC is just going just as crazy as GME was back in January. So what makes this different this time?
Yeah, that's literally should have been the first question. You're calling for a suspension. What makes it different this time around? I mean, other than the relatively humongous price differences between the two stocks, this gamma squeeze provided a way more price action. So that's the question that people have, right? Why did what makes a difference now that $10 becomes $77? And by the way, I think Ted Mosby in the chat, Mr. Mosby, is going to do a backflip at 3,000 likes. So you got it. If you guys want to see that, 3,000 likes.
Well, yeah, I don't know that it necessarily is different, and I think the SEC has to be taking a close look at what is happening in AMC. No different than it looked at GameStop. No different than it should be looking at any company that is trading disproportionately to what the market should bear. The question is, what does that mean? Right. And it really brings back another fundamental question, which is, what role do fundamentals have to play?
Oh my goodness!
What role is there?
Oh my goodness!
The true merits of this company.
That's a whole. That's a whole other thing. But
he's like, no, thank you. I wouldn't want to talk about that at all. We have a 1 penny guy coming in later.
Exactly.
Is the SEC going to be late to the party again this time, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be late to the party. I think it clearly failed in its mission, because in GameStop, it had the opportunity to say, when a company trades completely out of control, we have a stop mechanism that we could put in place. Yeah. I think they're probably looking at AMC, and they would be looking at all of these. To me, the real question is, longer term, are they investigating? And more important for the market protection function, if there's a violation, it's important that the SEC bring enforcement cases to show that these what appear to be semi or even contrived.
Has he finished his sentence yet? I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I also am a king of run-on sentences, but like it's been about 15 seconds. I'm not sure if he's even gotten to the subject of his sentence yet. 1 penny, man. 1 penny! 1 pen!
At least to me, the real question is,
here it is. Longer term,
are they investigating?
And more
important for the market protection function, if there's a violation, it's important that the SEC bring enforcement cases to show that these what appear to be semi or even contrived natural forces had a fraudulent component. I don't know if there are.
My God, that was a hard sentence.
But that
I hear you.
He's a lawyer, right? Oh man, didn't mean to jungle rush him, but geez Louise, Angelina jungle rushing every single one of these talking heads out here. Sam Cohen wants to talk about the convertible bonds. That was brought up by Austin Tobit like 2 months ago. Way back, all the way back in time. Tobit was talking about convertible bonds, and he was getting real excited about them when he came on the show. I guess I'll have to ask him about that as soon as he comes back on next time. He was here for like 2.5 hours yesterday. Let's see. You can hear the 1 penny man walking behind you with his pennies jingle jangle in his pockets. Let's see. Ancestral Tarot. Number 1, drive-ins. They say they're having a comeback before COVID. 2, they are COVID friendly. 3, cheaper than buying up theaters and chains. 4, why is no one talking about this? Now we're talking about it. I love drive-in. I personally love a drive-in theater as one of the like core 5 things I think is an excellent day out. Right? You got a flea market, farmer's market / farmer's market. You got to get a nice drive-in theater, right? You got to get a nice rose garden picnic. You got to get a nice beach day, but perhaps you don't have to have a full beach. You can just go to like a lake or a marina. And then 5th, what do you guys think 5th is? Right? What is the perfect day in your opinion? And then if we can have AMC or GME create that perfect day, boom, we have a fundamental case right there. Forget about fundamentals. If we want to create a excellent perfect day encapsulated, why not drive in theaters? What can AMC and GME do to create that perfect day inside their core customer base? Fishing. Ooh, yes. Your girlfriend's girlfriend giving you a back rub. Now that roller coasters. I have a season pass to the Silicon Valley's Great America. If I see you there, I'll see you there. That is something that I've held since before the pandemic, and I don't regret a single bit of it. We didn't get to go at all in 2020, but I do love a roller coaster. Fortnite, Ferris wheel, and bumper cars, and that's great. That is something that's just like nice, slow height roller coaster with like a same height but like velocity roller coaster, and you get agency. That's the best thing. It's a roller coaster that you control. Dog water park. I don't know what that looks like, but now I'm excited. Once again, take a look at that short interest. 0.01% up, but it seems like the number has gone down. It's a lot of data. The data corrections I wish Ortex would bring up instead of having us have to guess. GME stays below 10% short interest. That's what the title is referring to. Yesterday, GME was the lowest point since January squeeze. Today is another brand new low from 10 point at blankety blank percent down to 9.63. Doesn't AMC have dine-in theaters? I thought that was fancy as heck when I grew up. I grew up in the burbs, and I heard there was one theater in the Chicago burbs that served alcohol and food. I couldn't have any alcohol, obviously, but I wanted to eat like real food, like a medieval time situation, and watch a movie at the same time. AMC theaters rented out for GME gaming tournaments. That would be cool. Although you could just rent out at GME, I think. Unless you have a huge audience, and then people watch you game. Now we're talking about synergy. Spending time with family. Okay, well, if you love your family, I guess. Okay, so that was 3 clips understanding what the mainstream media has been talking about AMC for the longest time, especially right at this same point. June is the new January. So that exactly at the same point as pivotal price action upward. When AMC was just hitting from $10 to $50, everyone said this price action can't sustain itself. Now we've been above 50 for weeks, in fact, almost the entirety of June, and we have been consolidating, which means volume low, we stay at the same price. Night skiing sounds like a fake sport, sounds very dangerous, but maybe it's real. Did I go to Great American Gurney? I did. Every year during middle school for band. Michael McGowan says, in Korea they fill stadiums for tournaments. Yes, StarCraft, let's see it. Taylor Westmore has a fun fact about UFOs. If you invent a UFO, the Navy will try to steal it for national security. Thankfully, they failed to shut down Juliet Marine, and he released videos on YouTube to block him. If you invent a UFO? What? Did you know this video is about AMC and GME? But fun to have people talk about UFOs as well. You're welcome. You are welcome here. All right, so we had the SEC lawyer video here. SEC lawyer CNBC. The craziest thing is that he has been talking about this GME suspension since the very beginning of the January squeeze. So this is the video where he talks about exactly what he would do. The Reddit
rebellion continuing to play out.
And if you weren't sure if Melissa Lee has been on the Apes side the entire time during the January squeeze, this is a good chance to be able to test it. Who has money on Melissa Lee still being bullish and apish ever since that January squeeze all the way back in the day? And Jacob Frankel is going to be the same. You don't have to take bets on that. The SEC lawyer is going to be exactly the same.
Today, GameStop surging again after hours with so much volatility surrounding the name. Our next guest says there should.
Isn't that crazy? That was the price that GameStop was during extended hours today, right? At the 216, 215s. In fact, it just hit 216 again. That's eerie. This is some eerie stuff.
Be more than a halt on the stock. He thinks the SEC should actually suspend trading altogether on GameStop. Let's bring in Jacob Frankel. He's a former senior counsel for the SEC's enforcement division, now partner at Dickinson Wright. Jacob, great to have you. As always, what in your view is going wrong here? This is just a group of investors on a social media site.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the free speech, but what we really have here, in my view, is a kids gaming stock that needs adult supervision. And I think
kids gaming stock with adult supervision. He wanted to go. I'm surprised that didn't catch on as like a mainstream like talking point. They should have been like, remember when the SEC lawyer said kids gaming stock that needs adult supervision? Yeah, because we're all children. we're all kids here. And Tom Collar says, if you invent a UFO, it won't be a UFO anymore. It would just be an FO, clearly. Joe Blow, don't spam, talking about Bitcoin. Talking about Bitcoin underneath 33. Oh, Howie, you were absolutely right. You weren't right about AMC or GameStop. I think you talked about GameStop. But, you know, we might be right again. Because crypto definitely did do a slump today. Even Ethereum was underneath 2100 all of a sudden. We're going to have that on the right side to make sure you guys can take a look at it. If you guys got into MRIN, congrats. Even after the suspension, it is still up 50% on the day. Easy stock to scalp.
That adult supervision is probably an SEC trading suspension. Everything that's going on is certainly going to invite an SEC investigation. The whole purpose of a trading suspension, which is different than a circuit breakers, is the SEC has the administrative ability to suspend trading when there are questions about the accuracy of publicly available information. And you have this competing dialogue as to what really is going on at the company and what's motivating the trading in the stock, or the shorts and the longs. But also, one of the bases for a trading suspension is a possible or potential stock manipulation. That would be something that the SEC would look at. But again, when you have this level of...
Jeremy R., I am actually on 1440p. That is more high def than high def. Just got to press that cog in your settings and change your settings manually so that I am crispy high definition.
volatility, and the circuit breakers are not sufficient or not accomplishing their objective, that really is the next option. And just to be clear, a trading suspension is not permanent. It is strict. It is a 10-day trading suspension that is within the SEC's statutory authority, and it's something that the SEC wielded 35 to 40 times in connection with COVID.
We'll never know what happens if GameStop was suspended for 10 days straight. You'll never know what happens. That would be the alternate universe where maybe the entire world exploded.
Related stocks.
Mm-hmm. How do you prove market manipulation? I mean, how do you prove that anything that anybody is saying on Reddit or any other site for that matter is wrong or done with an intent to manipulate the stock price? And why is this different from a bunch of investors on an Apple thread talking about the stock of Apple? It's just Apple's a much bigger market cap, doesn't move as much.
Well, Melissa, that really is a great question. That's exactly what the SEC would look at. And what it would look at is it will align what is being said, the accuracy of what is being said, and who is doing the trading, and is there some type of, big word from the last couple of years, collusion within that trading. But when we're talking about manipulation, we're really talking about from an investigative purpose, is that the SEC would look at whether it's actual active trading for the purpose of raising, or in the case of the shorts, depressing the price of a security, for the purpose of inducing others to buy or sell that security.
Okay. The collusion back in the day was still between the kids who are predators now, and Jacob Frankel changes his tune pretty quickly about naked shorts and manipulation on the other side, but tells us how hard it would be. Not so hard to be able to prove that millions of retail investors, independent, small-time investors are actually working together. That would be easy. You know, that just requires a Google search. If you go around to try to understand whether or not naked shorts are actually happening, though, that would be impossible. It takes 4 to 5 years.
That's what the SEC is going to look at. It's a very time-consuming process, kind of stuff I worked on when I was at the SEC, and actually found very challenging and interesting, because you really then are getting into the motivation, the communications, the timing, and the information. Mm-hmm. And in this day and age, everything's fast.
Well, let me ask you this question, and I guess I'm just going to play the role of devil's advocate and from the perspective of what I've read on this WallStreetBets thread. How is this?
So, from all the way back 5 months ago, Melissa Lee was saying that she was reading the DD. She is playing devil's advocate in that the Redditors are the devils, but she's still playing it. So, in that sense, she was really hedging her bets all the way back in the day, and at the very least, that's admirable.
Any different from a couple of hedge funds or a few hedge funds saying that they're going to go short a stock. They've communicated via email. One goes on CNBC or on Twitter and states that they have a short case, puts out a YouTube video. Isn't that the same? Isn't that manipulation, except on a bigger scale? These are bigger shareholders. They have bigger voices. They're the quote unquote smart money on Wall Street. They can get away with it. That's not manipulation.
No, and certainly hedge funds can participate in manipulative activity. There's nothing that that really puts one institution over a series of individuals. When we talk about stock manipulation, I mean, I remember back in 2001, the SEC brought an enforcement case against a 15-year-old high school student for stock manipulation. So it's not that there's any.
Does this make you sick? Sorry, I have to take a second. SEC as a argument point, right? Not just to like brag or anything, but remember when we brought a case against 15-year-olds? Yeah, we really understand the point of fairness and equality here at the SEC. We will destroy anyone's lives unless it's the naked short sellers, in which case it's going to take a couple of years. But in that sense, we'll persecute anybody. We've done it to anyone. Nobody is safe.
Particular characteristic, and certainly the institutions do it. What we're really talking about here is the conduct in connection with this stock, which is experiencing such volatility, and the circuit breakers don't seem to be addressing it satisfactorily. What I'm saying is that is an option. But even if the SEC were not to do it, and granted the SEC tends to use trading suspensions almost exclusively in the small cap space. But the fact is, there is conduct here that certainly has the SEC likely already investigating. And in all likelihood, there's also a parallel criminal investigation, because ultimately, if you get down to it, you marry up the fundamentals of this company with the stock price. I think there are a lot of questions, and the analysts are asking.
Remember iRobot? Roombas were heavily shorted. People didn't want Roombas back in the day. Stitch Fix, Children's Place, SunPower, Bed Bath & Beyond, right? Coming back around.
Those same questions.
Mr. Frankel, it's Tim Seymour. Thank you for joining us. I guess my question is really around enforcement of social media because of kind of the group think and the lack of disclosure. Is there anything developing within the SEC that's seeks to at least tighten up the reins around this, because it does seem that these forums are ones that really almost anything goes?
Well, it goes beyond that, because if you look at how many cases tend to be brought around what's being said on, for example, the message boards around small cap stocks, that really is the issue. There is, the SEC will not touch free speech. And what I'm saying is not intended.
SEC won't touch free speech. Okay. The sneakiest amendment, our First Amendment rights, and how to interpret them, we're still wondering in 200 years later. Almost 3. No, not yet.
In any way to suggest that people don't have the right to express their opinion. The issue is whether they're disseminating materially false and misleading information, and for what purpose. Because that is really the trigger for whether there is securities fraud. And when it comes to, because we're talking about exchange-listed security, as opposed to what we always talk about in terms of Section 10B fraud, the anti-fraud provision, there's another provision in the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, which is Section 9A2, 9 Alpha 2, which talks about manipulation specifically. And that's where you're talking about active trading for the purpose of inducing activity. And I think that's what the SEC is going to look at. I don't think the SEC is talking about suppressing free speech, but...
So it's not free, it's free speech until it induces activity. You can say whatever you want, but you cannot induce any activity.
The source of manipulative activity very much are message boards and these informal forums. And the question is, where does it cross the line? And that's what an investigation will seek to determine.
Just quickly, Jacob, and my producers are going to scream at me for this, but let's say that the SEC finds that there has been manipulation going on. Are they going to fine the hundreds of people on this WallStreetBets thread? I mean, how does that...
Look at this bitch. She's like, are you really going to? So maybe even back in the day, she was already like making her producers yell at her. She says that jokingly, but there's no workplace joke that doesn't have a little bit of truth to it. So she's really like, my producers are gonna kill me if I say this. But what are you gonna do? Find hundreds, thousands, millions of apes and then say, look at you guys? How is SEC going to have an easier time doing that than just pursuing the naked shorters themselves, Jacob?
That go down?
No, I think there's a question as what is the source of information? I mean, there are a lot of analogies we could potentially come up with, but I think it really is going to boil down to who is saying what and why. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at manipulative activity, there is frequently some type of collusive activity. People are getting together and actually planning out what they're going to say for a manipulative purpose. Manipulation cases are not easy to make. I don't want to suggest that for a moment, but I do think the SEC will bring a case as easily as it would against 1 or 2 people, as it would against 10 or more, particularly in a situation such as this. We have the level of volatility that we're talking about.
And that never happened. And that never happened. We will prosecute anyone. It doesn't matter if you're one guy, doesn't matter if you're 5 guys, 5 guys, burgers and fries. We'll prosecute every burger and every fry. Count them on your fingers, count them on on the millions. It doesn't matter. We'll find you all. No, they didn't find a single ape that did anything wrong. And they're not going to be able to find one. They're looking in the wrong area.
talking about,
right,
and where it has the opportunity to send a message as to what is and is not acceptable communication in the market.
Jacob, thank you for your time. Good to see you. Jacob Frankel. We're going to have much more on this retail trading boom. Don't miss the first on CNBC interview with the co-CEO of Robinhood. That is tomorrow.
All right. And that was not a popular interview at all. We're not going to have to subject you guys to that. I want to see if this options chain can refresh. We're going to refresh today's AMC and GME options chain to take a look at where we are in terms of a potential gamma squeeze. That was a great plug for Five Guys. Honestly, Five Guys, come sponsor me. We're gonna. If I can have a fast food sponsorship, what would you want? What would you want if you could have a fast food sponsorship? $220. That's where GME is right now. $220 is where we are seeing a lot of the calls today. This is a normal options chain. I don't know what normal is anymore, but anything below the price action is a out of the money put. Anything above the price action is an out of the money call. And that's how things normally work. But as you know, since yesterday, well, since the beginning of time, the GME and AMC have been having a suspicious options chain. More so this week, $150 strikes with $6 million of puts and $100 strikes with $2 million of puts from yesterday on GME. AMC needs to refresh, and then we'll see. Twist Montana says, my wife asked if it is my job to buy one GME share per day. I told her that it's an ape thing. The Duck from the Joke says, I heard the SEC tried to prosecute all the fries, and the fries ran away, and they couldn't catch up. Oh, man. Julian says, yes, he's gone. They would want Burger King. Yeah, Whopper Wednesdays. Is today Wednesday? No. Well, you're not going to be able to get a Whopper. $80. Okay, so this is the options chain from today, already in progress for AMC. $1 million at $80 strike. Only thing suspicious is $500,000 at $35 put. So this is a deep out of the money put, but there doesn't seem to be that much suspicious activity unless you can call the $6 call a suspicious deep in the money call, right? We've been talking about 005 preventing the same short to be pledged multiple times, and whether or not that is going to prevent these deep in the money FTD cycles. If it does, we'll see within one FTD cycle whether or not there are more deep in the money calls anymore. So far today, there's still more. So there's either some weird people buying very, very safe calls, or there's going to be manipulation that we have to suss out. Suss them out. My name Jeff. Where the money at? His name Jeff. Once again, thanks again for those of you that have subscribed on our way to 111 subscribers. That is the wish milestone. We're going to make a wish when we hit that milestone. And those of you who have smashed that like button, we're on our way to 2,000. Would be cool if we get there by this live stream. David Weber says, Abraham Lincoln said, once if a crime results in a fine, the only people it will punish is the poor. And that's one of the fun facts about the world's most expensive traffic ticket, is that it's from a country that charges traffic tickets proportionally to your relative income. And so that traffic ticket was like in the millions at least, because the guy that broke the law had a lot of money. So imagine if fines actually trended proportionally to how much money you make, then all fines would actually be a good deterrent no matter how much money. Let's see. Oh, Kathy Wood didn't do right by you today. Trey says, what is with these random puts? Is there a hedgy shorting trick on these that we're not aware of yet? Well, we are aware of these tricks, right? We listened to Mr. Jim Cramer talk about these tricks. And if you guys are wondering where this is going, Jim Cramer talked exactly about throwing a couple of puts deep out of the money to be able to manipulate a stock. And if you wanted a couple $1 billion of price action either direction, you would be able to get it done with just $1 million or so. So Jim Cramer manipulation tactics of hedge funds. That's always a good click to make sure that your hands are diamond. If you watched this before, great. If you haven't, it's a fantastic reminder of just what the hedge funds are capable of and what their bag of tricks are. So in this video, you're going to be able to find out exactly what a suspicious deep out of the money call could be doing from the hedge fund's point of view. Luckily, the internet, everything.
Confidential.
Luckily, the internet means that everything is forever.
Being here, there's a lot of economic data out today, but I want to talk about something else first. Again, today we have the
convertible arbitrage is coming up after this. We talked about that in the show before, and we'll do it again.
Just because it's the holiday period that we're seeing this.
You know, a lot of times when I was short at my hedge fund and I was positioned short, meaning I needed it down, I would create a level of activity beforehand that could drive.
Remember that the freedom of speech is freedom of speech until it incites activity. Here is Jim Cramer using his freedom of speech to tell you that he would do X, Y, and Z to incite activity when he was short a stock. He was short on whatever stock, AMC or JME. Not saying that he is currently, but that when he was talking about the hedge fund strategies, this is the exact same way that hedge funds have learned to play the game, right? They're old money. They only know how to play the game in like a handful of ways. You don't think that a perfect playbook that has worked for multiple market crashes across decades of manipulation is just going to change in a heartbeat? No, it's going to be pretty much the exact same shenanigan.
The futures, it doesn't take much money. Similarly, if I were long and I would want to make things a little bit rosy, I would go in and take a bunch of stocks and make sure that they're higher, and maybe commit $5 million in capital to do it, and I could affect it. What you're seeing now is it probably is bigger market. Now, maybe you need $10 million in capital to knock this stuff down, but it's a fun game and it's a lucrative game, and you can move it up and then fade it. That's often creates a very negative feel. So let's say you take a longer term view intraday and you say, listen, I'm going to boost the futures, and then when the real sellers come in, real market comes in, they're going to knock it down. That's going to create a negative view.
The fact that he's talked about a fake market and a real market, he talks pretty quickly and very quietly as if he's telling you illegal stuff that he's into, which he is. So he's talking about a real market and then a fake market. So every time you watch this, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. Every time you watch this, there's a completely new thing that you can immediately point out and say, wait a second, that's also sus as heck.
That's a strategy very worth doing when you're valued on a day-to-day basis. And I would encourage anyone who's in the hedge fund game to do it because it's legal, right? And it is a very quick way to make money and very satisfying. By the way, no one else in the world would ever admit that, but I don't care.
That's right, and you can say that here.
I can't. I'm not going to say it on TV.
Well, remember that back in 2013? Or actually, I think this is all the way back in like even earlier than that. Jim Cramer said "ID care" as a man who was very hip and very cool.
On a related note, there's so many more hedge funds today than when you were managing your hedge fund. Right. Do you think that does that exacerbate the moves, or does it make it tougher?
You know, the hedge funds are positioned long short, okay, not just long like mutual funds. So it's really vital these next 6 days because of your payday. You've really got to control the market. You can't let it lift. When you get a research in motion, it's really important to use a lot of your firepower to knock that down because it's the fulcrum of the market today. So let's say I were short. What I would do is I would hit a lot of guys with Vrim. Now, you can't foment. That's a violation of ferment. Yeah, you can't foment. You can't create yourself an impression that a stock's down. But you do it anyway because the SEC doesn't understand it. So,
And now that you've actually seen the clips with Jacob Frankel, it's pretty clear that SEC doesn't understand this. Although, if you have Jacob's email, you could just send this video of me reacting to Jim Cramer directly to him and say, yeah, did you want that proof of the self-reporting? A hedge fund seems to be reporting on themselves right now in this video.
That's the only sense that I would say this is illegal. But a hedge fund that's not up a lot really has to do a lot now to save itself. So this is different from what I was talking about at the beginning where I would be buying the Qs and stuff. This is actually just blatantly illegal. But when you have 6 days and your company may be in doubt because you're down, I think it's really important to foment if I were one of these guys. From then, an impression that research in motion isn't any good because research in motion is the key today. So, you would hit this guy and that guy when you would see an offering. When you see a guy who's bidding,
you can't do that, but you do it anyway because the SEC doesn't understand. So that's the stuff that's blatantly illegal. Anyway, back to the stuff that's sort of illegal, gray area.
Wipe out that guy very quickly. And what I used to do was called, if I wanted to go higher, I would take and bid. And if I wanted to go lower, I'd hit an offer. And I could get a stock like RIM for maybe, that might cost me 15, 20 million, Annie, to knock RIM down. But it would be...
Does he think he's cool? Annual, ID care, I don't care. Now he's saving a lot of time IRL, speaking in lead speak.
Fabulous, because it would beleaguer all the moron longs who are also keying on research in motion. So we're seeing that. That's, again, when your company's in a survival mode, it's really important to defeat research in motion and get the Pisanis of the world and people talking about it as if there's something wrong with RIM. Then you would call the journal and you get the bozo reporter on research in motion and you would feed that there's a Palm's got a killer it's going to give away. These are all the things you must do on a day like today. And if you're not doing it, maybe you shouldn't be in the game.
Another stock that a lot of people are focused.
So that's the thing, the ruthlessness of it all, right? The strategy, sure, but it's about the incentive and the amount that you need to do at any given point. Is that Hector with the coffee in the morning?
Yes.
That's the best friend, the roommate, the mugshot. Caffeination in the morning. Okay, the point is that you can tell people this is how you cheat in tennis. But if you understand that when he said if you don't cheat in tennis, you shouldn't be in the game, that should tell you everything you need to know about hedge funds. If you don't cheat on a day like today, on a day where a stock that you're short on might have a potential breakout like what AMC is doing, if you don't do the bad stuff, as in put suspicious options on the far side of the chain or try and attack the stock in whichever way you can, you shouldn't even be a hedge fund.
Focused on right now seems to be Apple.
Yeah, Apple's very important to spread the rumor that that both Verizon and AT&T have decided they don't like the phone. Right. It's a very easy one to do because it's also you want to spread the rumor that it's not going to be ready for Macworld. And this is very easy because the people who write about Apple want that story. And you can claim that it's credible because you spoke to someone at Apple because Apple isn't in it, doesn't.
Right, they're not going to comment. They're not going to.
So it's really an ideal short. And I would, again, if I were short Apple, I would be working very hard today to get that. And the way you would do that is you pick up the phone, you call 6 trading desks and say, listen, I just got off the phone with my contact at Verizon. He has already said, listen, we're a Lucky G house. We're a Samsung house. We're a Motorola house. There's no room for Apple. They want too much. We're not going to let them in. We're not going to let them do what they did to music. And, I think that's a very effective way to keep a stock down.
Right.
I might also, by the way, because the stock at 84, 85, a little bit of capital, you go buy some January 80 puts that makes it look like there's going to be something going on. So maybe you give Morgan an order to buy 1,000 Jan 80 puts, then you go position limit with, you use a hat firm that doesn't know what the heck it's doing. Maybe you go to UBS for puts. And you just kind of create an image that there's going to be news next week, and that's going to frighten everybody. Right. Then they all go out and say large put buyer UBS. Then they call Pisani again. You have to use those guys and say, listen, I see a big buyer puts, and I'm told that it's SAC. You would do that too. And these are all what's really going on under the market that you don't see.
Right. Nobody else talks about it.
Right. But what's important when you're in that hedge fund mode is to not do anything remotely truthful.
I mean, some of you have seen this video, but just in case you missed that, when you're a hedge fund, it's important to not do anything remotely truthful. It's kind of like a villain having a monologue that is so cartoonishly bad that you forget half the other stuff that he said that is trying to tell you that he's a bad person. But then he goes off and says, when you're a hedge fund, you have to make sure you don't do anything even remotely truthful. Once again.
What's really going on under the market that you don't see.
Right, nobody else talks about it.
But what's important when you're in that hedge fund mode is to not do anything remotely truthful.
Oh.
Because the truth is so against your view
that
it's important to create a new truth to develop a fiction. And the fiction is developed by almost anybody who's down like 2% up, 6% here. You can't take any chances. You can't have the market up any more than it is if you're up 6. Because starting Jan 2, you'll have all your money come out. So what would you do if you're in that situation and you feel like you're desperate? Is that you would do these actions.
So you're talking about the mechanics of the market.
Well, the mechanics are much more important than the fundamentals.
Oh, okay, well, but in terms of the fundamentals, you've been writing about.
Okay, so I don't want to hear Jim Cramer ever talk about the fundamentals ever again. He just said it right here. Mechanics of the market are much more important than the fundamentals. Hashtag fundamentals. Cramer said it himself. It doesn't matter nearly as much as the mechanics of the market.
How you cares about the fundamentals? Research in motion just blew out the court,
right?
But look what people can do. I mean, that's a fabulous thing. The great thing about the market is it has nothing to do with the actual stocks.
Right.
Now, look, over maybe 2 weeks from now, the buyers will come to their senses and realize that everything that they heard was a lie. But then again, Fannie Mae lied about their earnings for $6 billion. So,
right,
it's just fiction and fiction and fiction. And I think it's important for people to recognize that the way that the market really works is to have that nexus of hit the brokerage houses with a series of orders that can push it down, then leak it to the press, and then get it on CNBC. That's also very important. And then you have a kind of...
And now he's one of the biggest celebrities on CNBC. Get it on CNBC, and you're golden. Kind of rough to not be investigated over this clip and then still have your job at CNBC. That's kind of the world that we live in right now. Okay, back to the AMC options chain. We'll come back to that video in a second. Understand GME options chain looking very normal today. 1/3 of a million calls at 220. Seems like those are the battlegrounds for the day. These 215 puts have become in the money, but there's barely anything about 31,000 puts. $31,000 worth of puts there. It's much more about these here. So 235, 500,000 puts, 225, about a third of a million puts there. AMC continues to change its options chain as well. We just received a sell signal on AMC. Let's take a look at GME. GME, Dynamite. Sweet. Strong buy signal here, and then a strong sell signal looking at right next to my face where the oscillator is, the cartoon version of my face. The oscillator starts diverging here, and you'll notice, let me take off the options chain that you guys can actually see. You'll notice that oftentimes when a big divergence occurs, like the one that happened earlier this morning, that a taper is expected and then a crossover after that. In fact, the last time that we had a major divergence that's tapered, you see that we're starting to taper off our oscillator right now. That was the lowest point that GME had been during that relatively short time window. So now we're looking at the same thing, a tapering off of the oscillator, the relative minimum of this trading pattern here. Purple here from a strong sell signal looking like that there's going to be a buy in a second, including bouncing off of these green Bollingers down here. So now you're going to be able to see GME with a potential bounce coming up soon for the rest of the day. That said, not a ton of volume. So Sam's is saying, can you explain what is this bond story right now? There aren't that many informations about it. Sure. So the mechanics of these convertible arbitrages is that you can take a bond or anything, you can have someone's call be your profit and end up hurting the stock at the same time. All you need to be is a market maker, or even sometimes you don't even have to be a market maker. Let's say that there is one, and then you can have an ape over here. So there's the market maker and there's the ape. The ape decides to buy, you can have a party 1, party 2, doesn't matter. The ape decides to buy one call. This is a call at X strike price. So this would be X. One call costs Y premium. PRE. Okay. From there, the market maker goes out and buys one put. So this is the put here for the exact same price at X strike for, let's say, Z premium. Z is going to be a lower number because of arbitrage. So this is the convertible arbitrage right here. You can essentially make the difference between Z and Y as immediate profit, but when the price action becomes in the money for this put, immediately exercise and then have that pressure on scale bring the price action of the stock downward. Now that said, the convertible bonds on the US market now is a different issue entirely. And that's what Austin Tobin came back around and talked about when he was on the show before, which is shorting the entire US government. And so this is relatively a new-ish story, especially since A. Tobin dropped it a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. And now that it's coming out slowly again, we're hoping it's not a distraction, but this is the mechanics of how you make money. So you make Z minus Y, and then you never have to pay X. So actually you make all of the premium on Y for this X strike call, and you also get to hurt the price of the stock as if you shorted it. Crayon drawings with yours truly, Andrew. Now back to it. Remember, AMC has less than 20 million volume today after a high of 57.71 on the morning, and now currently having a support at its simple moving average down at $56 and change. Its EMA is the next step in this dynamic resistance at 56.26. We had a sell signal on AMC before, but that seems like it has already started to become purple price action, if not a reversal as we speak. Robot Dog says the great thing about the markets has nothing to do with the actual stock. Yeah, did you hear that? Good thing to be able to understand it right now. If you've just come in and you have some expectations about the stock market, boy howdy, are we about to teach you something else. GME dips below this 210 level of support and then gets caught at 209.28. That's $1 roughly, less than $1 below that level of support, now has returned back to it. Llama Mama says, sounds like a bad joke. Once there was an ape and a market maker. Once upon a time. Oh, buddy. Come on. Come on. Vecna says, please squeeze today. I need to tell my pregnant wife she can quit her job. Vecna, my heartstrings. Guys, throw some supportive emojis out for Vecna. So sorry that your wife still does not, in this freaking society, in this economy here, still has to, I hope she doesn't have to stand for her job. Sasams Nari says, okay, so there are informations that Adam is taking bond back for AMC. Does that affect AMC in any way? I'm starting to get out of the space of what is the potential FUD, the FUD downside of what Adam Aaron wants for the company, right? The vote is going to happen. You should exercise your democratic right to vote. Make sure to, but I'm not going to tell you which way to vote. When it does happen, that's likely going to be a catalyst one way or another. R. Charles Bassett says, makes you realize how manipulative the general public has been since forever. And this isn't coming out and telling you guys, hey, this is a conspiracy theory, a speculation. This is straight up from a news anchor's mouth, from a video that he was creating back in the day to create airtime, clicks, and get people hyped up about the truth of how hedge funds work, right? This is the truth. It's disgusting. It's not good for airtime. It's only good for feeling like the market itself needs strong fixes. It needs to have a complete do-over. Oh, buddy. Come on. I'm going to come until he gets the treat. Here you go, bud. All right, stay. We're going to switch up the tie for Meatball. Actually, where are his ties? I guess he's going to wear some sunglasses for now. Leon Chan, oh no. Here it is, bud. Meatball is now a very cool dog. Peter Smith says, it was more about the withdrawal of the S3 than the vote. I know, but still. Bullish AF. Can you call up the Ortex cricket, please? Jens Gemmel wants to look at that Ortex data here. 18.29% on AMC. There's that cricket. Remember, the exchange reported short interest has never been higher than when AMC had a report up here. The short interest right there on its peak on the blue line, and then still substantial the last time we came back with short interest data. GME still underneath 9.5%. Yeah, last time we checked was 9.6, and now Ortex is still reporting a decrease. Aw, Chris Merrington says, my lady just quit. We're moving to a better living situation. AMC has helped in so many ways. Jason says the word put might be the goofiest sounding word in the English dictionary. Now, I think we can find a word that sounds goofier than that. Come on, Moon Platoon. What are the goofy words in your vocabulary? Let's see. Enzo Molina says, those effing hedgies. That's not surprising given that they play with their own rules. They put on sunglasses. Hiya! Okay, we haven't finished that video quite yet. Is this one? Is it this one? There it is. Okay. Moist is the goofiest word. Now I have to agree. Pudding. Flugo binder. Is that an English word?
Kind of a vicious cycle.
Kramer sounds goofy. Okay, let's agree that Kramer is the goofiest word.
Down, right? And it's a pretty good game, and it can be played. It can pay for a % or two,
right? And then do you get long before Macworld and the expectation that the iPhone is going to be good, right? And then you go back.
You certainly got to use the other side. Interesting. Yeah, and there's a case where I would say the January 80 puts can be justified because after I've knocked the stock down to 80, I can buy a lot of common, and then you play it right into Macworld where they'll probably introduce the phone, and Verizon's going to take this.
Yeah. Well, maybe the fundamentals don't matter, but let's talk about this.
Well, remember what Wall Street Confidential is.
You a drinking game. You can drink with coffee or anything you want. Do a drinking game anytime this anchor gets to say anything, and then drink again if Kramer cuts him off before he gets to say anything. Okay, we got Shenanigans, Dongle, Haberdasher. We have Yonder, Persnickety, Flabbergasted, Trapezoid, and Naked Shorts.
Yes. Is not giving you the party line. Oh, here's the party line, by the way. I spoke to Apple the phone. I hear the phones are good, and Verizon might take it. And as a matter of fact, the research motion sellers, I don't think they know what they're talking about.
But you've been writing about the cell market, cell phone market. You think you don't want to be involved with that.
That was Kramer trying to let him talk.
Frankly, is that these guys are all killing each other. Someone has to take a dive. Motorola and Nokia have to get in the room and just fix price. They've been reluctant to do that because of the various justice departments and because they actually
illegal, right?
Whoa, that hasn't stopped a lot of other companies.
This is true.
This seems to be a case where they seem to be directly worried about the authorities. It's almost as if they have a lawyer that matters, unlike say the Bristol Myers lawyers. And what eventually happens is the shareholders demand that you get phony lawyers and you sit in the room. And it'll happen soon.
Real quick, the Fed, the numbers out today weaker than expected.
Oh, so what? The Fed has obviously got a cut. But, you call the various guys who cover the bonds and you say, ignore the bond action. What's really happening is the Fed is very frightened about, and then you gin up the number that they're really frightened about. The Fed is actually desperate to try to figure out, how quickly they have to cut without looking like dopes that they raised.
Right, because they've been talking about they're worried about inflation, all this.
You don't want to raise in May and then cut in January. It's like Mexico, for heaven's sake. I mean, this is like a distinguished group of people who went to really good schools.
Right, these are smart guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't want to look like dopes.
When we were talking earlier in the week, you said you think it would be some sort of crisis, possibly Ford being a trigger.
Well, Ford went and did all that, they pledged all this investment banking to all these guys. So now that they're very reluctant to say negative things, it makes it much tougher for the Ford story to play out. I mean, the amount of business that Ford has to do. Ford would be the big client of 2007. So if I were in the corporate finance room, I would say, listen to the research guy. I said, listen, I spoke with Mullally. I actually have the inside. The plan works. So then you're the research guy and say, oh, man, what do I do? It's bonus time. I'm not going to be a total idiot. The Spitzer's going to Albany. Let's get back in the game.
Right.
I'm not going to be a total idiot. That is words to live by. In fact, I think I need a new shirt where Jim Cramer... Last time we drew a cartoon Melissa Lee, and we weren't sure legally if we were allowed to do that. But this time I think we can probably draw an abstract Jim Cramer. I'm not going to be... I'm not going to be a total idiot. Words to die by. Words to live by, words to die by. How's that Lux on AMC, says Dallas R. Cornelson. Cool name, by the way. There's that Lux on AMC, even on autopilot today, looking very jittery. Lots of buys and sells, both of which are strong. AMC is looking like a wild card. Wild card! Which direction is it going to go? Currently, it's tracking that sell signal, but we already know that it is above that 56 level of support. Looks like it's going to stay there for a while. Blue Gold Blinder is an aglet made up by Tom Cruise in the 80s. Ah, thank you. I like the word aglet too. That is the tip of your shoelace, but also a drink. BTS says, look how filthy my shorts are, smug. MRN, short interest per Ortex, 186%. That's why MIRN is still ripping 60% up. Let's just do an Ortex right now. Probably not on the NYSE. Yep, it's going to be on the NASDAQ. There it is. Even more short interest. 180% MRIN. So some stocks, that's why Ortex is like an interesting beast. Some stocks show like mind-boggling short interest. If they've been hiding short interest for GME and AMC successfully, this must be some pretty wet bandits, some bad burglars, some hedge funds that don't know what they're doing that is causing 185% short interest on these stocks and not being able to hide them. This is MRIN's short interest. Is that LX algo? I have it. Doesn't look like that. Oh yeah. So you probably have something that looks like this. You go down here to your wait, hold on one sec. Double click these settings. You probably have your type as Lux, so it looks more like this. Right, it's a little confusing for people that first start out, but this, you can use these as confirmation as well. When you have this taper off and the support level here, you have the ability to understand that there's a bounce coming, and it did. So it's a little more difficult to read, but at the same time, you know, it's a different tool. Let's keep it here for now so we can also read it in this oscillator level. Different tools for different folks. Let's see. Jin must have lost a bet with that haircut. What was the short interest 7 days ago? I think for MRN, you're going to have to take a look at the exchange reported SI. That exchange reported SI was the highest all the way back here. 724, 422. Why are these numbers just random numbers up here? Hold on. Oh, I see. 700. Oh, I see. That's 724,000. Whereas currently, 750. What? Dual axis line charts. Dear Lord. Let's get rid of these days to cover here. There's the price action. So the short interest was actually substantial compared to what the exchange was reporting. And now we can actually take a look at estimated short interest, which there it is. Now they're on the same level here. We can take a look at the exchange reported short interest in blue, and then the estimated short interest in purple. So that's where they've been tracking fairly consistently in blue and purple, and then they come together way above. Right now, estimated short interest is through the roof, 18.32% of a 10 million short interest. Sorry, 10 million free float. Any number, it makes the math easy. It's even good for apes who don't like to do math. 18 is 185%. Gable says he wants to look at costs. Sure. Let's take a look at costs. Wish is down 5% on the day. on. Cost is down 5% as well after a slump. Been a slump for a while after a potential 26.47 high and then a double top at 26.25. That the problem is that it double topped through the day itself, through the extended hours, and it still ended up as a majorly bearish pattern. Okay, so cost looks like it's on a slide as well. Nothing is as weird as GME's price action during after hours yesterday. Let's look at cost as short interest. KOSS. 9%. Not much has changed. A lot of the short interest for the exchange was reporting way higher just a few weeks ago. And finally, we'll look at costs on the Lux Algo here. COKOSS. Oh, Stardust. Mostly sideways trading. Currently diverging oscillator down here, which means you're going to be seeing more downwards trending before you actually get to taper off and cross over again. Cable Texas cost squeeze with GME from 3 to 175 in January. Not sure if it's still on the menu for a big squeeze again. Looks like its short interest is matching GME right now. Russell says, not footing. I'm still A-push AF on both AMC and GME. I'm hype every day and love trading sideways as much as going up or down. Russ is hype. Get in it. Boat sailed. Remember, don't chase a runaway stock. Not financial advice, but it's just common sense. A stock that's already ripped is not going to bear you any fruit. We have only a minute left on this Kramer video. This Kramer video. Love drinking water, especially if the water is full of coffee. Nothing quite like it. What's your favorite cup of joe, guys? So this is, I think a bunch of you have already heard of the Dave Portnoy, Charles Payne video, but I don't think many of you have seen the full interview. I haven't yet, so let's actually take a look. It's only a 4 or 5 minute long video, so that's going to be a fun little blast from the past here.
Calling its revolution dead, as many of those big names that were highlighted had come down significantly from their highs, although they were well above their lows. Now, there was a general feeling, though, that it was time to do a post-mortem on a movement. For many, it was also time to say, I told you so. Everyone eagerly reached out to Dave Portnoy, who, well, he helped, people. He made the term and the word stonks popular last year. And he was always a stand-up guy. He gave a bunch of interviews, including one with Stuart Varney on this network on February 17th. And Dave Portnoy joins me now. Dave, during that interview, there were a bunch of full screens, and they had a lot of Reddit names in there. And it struck me as I was reviewing it today. GameStop was 47, it's 217 now. AMC was $5, it's 56. Express up more than 100% to 250, now it's 577. Are you surprised how this movement held, and it seems to be gaining even more strength?
I don't know if the word would be surprised, but I give credit.
Why does he start off with, I don't know. This is the paper-handed Portnoy, Dave Portnoy down here. This is what he is going to be called in this video. Hope you guys are as hype as I am. It's kind of like a roller coaster going up. You know it's going to come. Rickards is already throwing scissors in the chat for paper-handed Portnoys, just like him. If you don't care about other paper hands, you just care about him, throw those scissors in the chat just for Dave.
All all the people who have stayed in it and held it. I mean, the thing that stopped it the first time, the momentum obviously, was when they froze trading, and they're not really doing that anymore, and it's come back. So, I guess I would have to say I'm surprised because I don't own them, and I wish I did. So if I knew it was coming, I would have them. I guess I am a little bit surprised, but good for them.
You know, my favorite movie, one of my top 3 movies is Cool Hand Luke. I know you know the movie, and you know the part where he comes back and he becomes a model prisoner and everyone gets pissed off, right? Because he was the Maverick. And of course, later on in the show, he did something like that. But you kind of remind me of that movie in the sense that you admitted you took a $700,000 hit and you said you were paper hands. Now, so many of these people who were in this, a lot of them got drawn into it because of you. They're so disappointed and angry at you.
They're so disappointed and angry at you. And also, paper hands are supposed to be someone who makes money on these. So actually, it turns out, because the paper represents like the money you make, right? You make a little bit of money, but your paper, you to have diamond hands, you're making life-changing money. So in my opinion, actually, he doesn't even qualify for his own namesake.
What do you say to them?
Oh, those people are idiots. Yeah, we don't pay any attention to those morons. Listen, most of the people who are saying paper hands and this and that, they lost 5 cents. They lost a nickel. I lost 700 grand. I got out of it. I took my beating. So anybody paper hands, I'd like to wrap them in toilet paper and glue lettuce to them and set them afloat in the ocean. I don't pay any attention to those idiots.
Is really? Dave Portnoy?
That's kind of cold, Dave.
That's kind of cold, Dave. You're gonna hold on. What are you gonna do? Is that a crime? You're gonna wrap them up in toilet paper and glue lettuce onto them? Is that a reference? Or is that just the most random LOL internet humor from a actual like man from the financial world? Like he's got money to spend, and the thing that he's gonna say is wrap toilet paper around someone and then glue lettuce to them. Is that what we're gonna do Halloween, Dave?
I mean, think about this for a moment. They're saying $700,000 to a guy like you, and when they put all of their money in, that you didn't have to sell, that you were the face of this movement, that when you gave up, you helped the establishment when they needed you most. I mean, why would you diss them now? Why would you call them names now?
Charles, you're being a naive fool. These people, these are Twitter eggs.
Does this sound like he almost called Charles this down here? Because he's like, you're a little fool.
That you're listening to. The real people who have money in it and understand how it works, they're not the ones calling names. I'd love to see the bank accounts and the receipts of these people. And by the way, I don't know what they'd be mad at me for. I sold. If they held, they'd be rich. So what do they get mad?
No, I think a lot of them did hold.
I sold it.
I think they were disappointed. They were just disappointed because they looked up to you. I'm not being a fool. I'm asking a legitimate question.
Listen to that. If you listen to what people say on social media, you'll never leave your mom's basement. Come on.
Well, I live in a pretty big house, so I'm not worried about that. But the point is, though, what I'm saying, though, is...
Okay, Charles.
So now you're saying that these same folks that looked up to you, that jumped on the Stonks bandwagon, now you're calling them names, now you're dissing them as belittling them as people with not a lot of money. It sounds like you're belittling these folks.
Oh my gosh. So he calls Charles a fool first. So he's kind of asking for it. And then he's saying that, you know, these people would live in their mom's basement. Charles is like, I live in a nice home. Thank you, sir. Okay. This is starting to get fun. Also, the Wendy's salad compliment, whoever made that in the comments, that's hilarious. He's dressing up these morons in Wendy's salads.
I don't worry about the haters and whatnot.
Good.
So, but why do you feel the need to belittle these people? Why do you want to look at their bank accounts? They don't have as much money as you do.
They're throwing stones at statues. You're talking about people who are out there, paper hands, this, that. Why the need to belittle them? Who's belittling who? I wouldn't know they existed if they weren't tweeting at me and you.
Yeah, but you could be the bigger man in this particular place. Can you see where they had a lot of faith in you?
I'll come at you. You're asking me about a segment of people who live to stir the pot, and I'm surprised you're falling for it. Show me the receipts.
I'm not falling for anything. The bottom line, here's the thing. Here's the thing
about Charles.
The lag is real.
Trades. When I traded it, they followed suit or whatever, and they have more than 5 cents in it, then I'll apologize.
All right, well, I think you're going to owe a lot of people an apology. Not that they sold when you sold, because they're saying that you were paper hands and they're diamond hands, but you didn't live up to what you were saying. That you helped create a movement, and at the first sign of danger, you were the one who blinked. And that's why they lost respect for you.
They closed trading, Charles. I didn't know they could do that. Do your research and see the sequence of events. I didn't start it. I joined it.
If you watch my show, I actually have chronicled this better than anyone else, and why it was wrong for Robinhood.
How is that
why it was wrong for Robinhood to close trading? Because not everyone sold AMC at $5.
Well, then
some people held on to it.
They wouldn't be complaining, would they?
Well, they might be complaining. Rich people complain all the time. You're rich and you complain a lot.
$millions because you held, and then you go make fun on Twitter of somebody who sold. That's not how it works. They're partying on their yachts.
Would you step up? Would you step up for these people, Dave, and try to help them
You're
now
making
get
no
these?
sense. You're
I'm trying to. No, I'm not being. You're being a little bitch.
Oh no! Oh no! Look at the face of a man who is currently in Zoom hell. He is about to find out in milliseconds that he has been called the little B word by Charles Payne on live TV.
Would you stop up to these people and go to Gary Gensler and say help change the rules?
I like that. Would you
ask Gary Gensler to change the rules?
Social media is making a mockery of you right now.
Why is he so red?
Gensler to change the rules. Could you ask? Could you go to war for these people? Could you ask for the rules to be fixed? The playing field to be level.
Who's Gary Gensler? That sounds like a made-up name. I don't know who that is. Okay, that was good. I'm glad we got the full interview here.
Who's Gary Gensler?
He's the chairman of the SEC. All right. Hey, Dave, we'll leave it there, my man. We'll talk again soon.
Don't be a little bitch.
We'll see you, folks. We'll be right back.
Don't be a little bitch.
That's enough. You really did have... You want to have the last line here. That's great. That's great. I'm finally glad I got the full context. Lovely. Well, there you go. Dave Portnoy got called out on national TV. Live TV. And now that is the legacy that we are leaving behind for these very rich people having public fights on whether or not AMC and GME is worth the apes' time and the retail investors' time. I have a feeling that history is going to remember one of these people in a specific way. Pass the popcorn, please. Dave will get to know Gary Gensler. He thought it was going to be a good interview. I don't think so. I think he was prepared to fight. He's a mad little lobster. Aww. You can see the red account in his face. He's currently watching his portfolio. Oh no. That was fantastic. Okay, well, as a reminder, that's who Dave is. Would you like to be like Dave or not? Those are the questions that you should be asking yourselves over and over again. I'm going to start in an email because there's an ApeCon starting out soon. Okay, back to the options chain because I'm having enough of Dave Portnoy's face here. $400,000 in GME's trade options chain. AMC looking like $80 is the new out of the money calls that people are paying attention to. You guys don't have to see it. I'm seeing it. $80 here with $1 million. Mostly surprised that with the low IV today, with IV crush, the options chain is still very sparse. Just compare it to the yesterday. Yesterday, at this point in time, we already had these millions of dollars at the 145 out of the money calls. For the first time, there's only $500,000, and it's already been 2.5 hours on the day. Deep Stock Hunter says MRN keeps going, maybe something. Smirky face. MRN still at 60% up on the day, 1713. Hey, you know, if that's something that you would want to invest yourselves in, I can't give you financial advice to or not to, but I remind you that you would normally want to buy the dip. So if you have a Lux Algo and you have 20% off with Andrew Mo Money's code at checkout, you might be able to find a good place to enter. I might enter myself to get a couple more attendees so that I can bring it back to the AMC GME train. So let me open up another Lux Algo tab to take advantage of the fact that people are looking at MRIN right now, and some people have made, wow, 10x their money because the price action was all the way down at $1 just a week ago. MRIN. MRIN is feeling a lot like Clove or like the other stock that was going crazy a few days ago. That's why WallStreetBets exists. That's because there are so many different investments exactly like this. Oh, this might be a bullish pennant. Bullish pennant might be forming on MRN right now. Real Mr. Miggs says, just got a PS5 from GameStop. Not tired of buying tendies, but wanted to add some bacon to the stock. Mr. Miggs, what a true blue ape here. Deep Stock Hunter says true. Thanks, Andrew. Of course. I wonder if Mr. Ryan Kohan doing anything to legally like sue the hedge fund because they shortened his company's shares illegal. Well, it's not really in the purview, unfortunately. It's all about the SEC. So he can request an investigation, but like the police aren't going to be able to go to these hedge funds and arrest them without sufficient evidence. Seems like an entire internet's worth of apes finding that evidence and pointing to it and screeching ooh, ooh ah ah might not be the language that the SEC speaks. Oh, we talked about that pennant before. Let's look at it again. Currently, we're at the very edge of the right red angle here. If you saw it earlier, it's just another candle outside of that pennant, still within the 48 hours that the golden pennant took to break out. Ricardo says, what options tool are you using, brother? You can use options Sonar. You can get a premium subscription in the description down below. Charles is the man. Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. Webull, Tiblio. And Tiblio is also a great options tool if you like to be able to understand the Greek a little bit more. One of the easiest ways to stay up to date on when Ivy Crush makes premiums much more affordable. Taylor Westmore says metamaterial technology is one of the keys to electromagnetic propulsion. Okay, TRCH and MMAT is doing that type of research, but they could revolutionize cameras. Ooh. This is kind of great. If it works, it works. Looking at that channel here. Do some technical analysis with the potential bounce off of the VWAP here. For AMC, still hanging around. Oh, okay. Joe Rocco says they need to give us our money. The thing about MRIN is that it could be a good meme stock because it sounds a lot like Myron. Like you, Myron. Is that a fun lead speak that's still going or no? G.I. Joe says, everyone is mad that no one is doing anything when they can make a difference now. Sheer laziness and ignorance. Let's see. Customer Zero says, I'm concerned about the current Michael Burry FUD. I mean, we all saw The Big Short. He says that the market, mother of all market crashes is coming. Well, we saw that. We saw that in the federal securities market almost directly after he said that that was going to come. Well, in that case, is that going to come even more often? Is that going to start spreading to the rest of the market? And if that's the case, will that be an opportunity for the entire margin call threshold to be lowered, since the amount of money in the market is entirely the hedge fund's thing, right? Blazer Dave says, not laziness or ignorance, collusion changed my mind. Let's see. Yeah, just wow, negative 60% on those Fannie Mae's. Some people really need those government like bonds to not go through the floor. Those federal securities were part of somebody's life, and the mother of all crashes happened like that, real quick. So will it start spreading to the rest of the market? That's the question. Why hasn't there always been a conflict of interest with Michael Burry? That's a good question. We don't know what his positions are. And that was one of the major like takeaways of his tweets, is that, hey, it turns out you might not know exactly who he is incentivized to support or resist. Okay, back to that DD that I was reading a little bit earlier. Let me see if I can pull it up while I play the very end of that Kramer. It's only going to be another minute left in this vid.
Possibly, because a year ago at this time, a lot of people were saying GM's about to go bankrupt, and of course the stock's up 50-some-odd%.
Well, GM. The difference between Ford and GM is that GM's balance sheet was never really, it turns out, wasn't that bad. Ford's balance sheet's pathetic, and you know that because they were willing to screw over the common for the bonds. Right. That's kind of, if we're in Ford, if this were Qualcomm, we'd be saying Qualcomm's desperate, but no, it's Ford.
But it's
so
Ford, it's an American icon.
Yeah, I drove a Ford, I owned a Ford once.
And this is our country. Well, yeah, right. And Jim Cramer.
Again, what I'm trying to go for.
Did you guys take a drink? Remember, every time he tries to say anything, Jim Cramer cuts him off. That's a drink.
Confidential. And I'm not saying you're sending it. I have to talk about what it's like at my hedge fund, okay? And what other hedge funds do. Because the difference is that if this is an intraday show, and you need to know what I know is going on. Now, we step back. Research in Motion was a real blowout quarter. It was a really good quarter, and I was quite surprised how strong the margins were. It looks like the other guys have really dropped out. It's a terrific story. Should it be up 6? Yeah, I think so. But, look where we are. It's Friday. You got 5 more days to make your quarter. Can you really risk having RIM up this much? I don't think you can.
And they're not. And if I'm correct, you're off next week.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and I am as well. Right. So we'll be back in 2007.
I'm hoping that we finish the year at 1260, because that's at 12,406.
You know, when people have like, when they're an analyst and they have like an idea of where the stock is going and they tell you why that's going to happen, you know, that might be a plausible deniability. Like, oh, I hope the stock goes there. But when Jim Cramer says, I hope the stock goes X, Y, and Z, yeah, that's a much different story, especially since he just told you that there's many ways for him to manipulate that price to be exactly what he wants it to be. All right, here's that Michael Burry FUD that you guys are talking about. I thought you guys were still talking about the original Mother of All Crash tweet that he had from a while ago. Blazer Dave says, my 24-ounce coffee is now empty. That drinking game, it's easy. It's easy to get all the coffee out. I'm also out of coffee. Empty cup here. Okay, Michael Burry reportedly says Reddit favored meme stocks will crash as new money dries up. Okay, seems like he's picking sides. Seems like Michael Burry has now picked sides. Big short investor Michael Burry believes Reddit favored meme stocks are set to crash like the .com and housing market bubbles of previous decades. We're running out of new money available to jump on the bandwagon. Burry was one of the first investors to spot and profit from the subprime mortgage crisis. Now, does that look like Christian Bale? He's actually not a bad-looking guy, but does it look like Christian Bale is the question right now. Carlos Santana says, is he still looking for credibility to fall back on talk for years of hot air? Is he the cause of global warming? Howie Roseman says, Burry never said meme stock crash. Okay, what exactly did he say? He said, I don't know when meme stocks such as this will crash, but we probably do not have to wait too long, as I believe the retail crowd is fully invested in this theme, and Wall Street has jumped on the coattails. We're running out of new money available to jump on the bandwagon. That's all he said. He doesn't know when it's going to crash, but he thinks it's going to be soon. Okay. Michael. He doesn't provide any of the data, like the hard work that he is portrayed to have done when Christian Bale looked like tirelessly through each and every subprime mortgage and like actually understood who the people that have the mortgage looked at each of their like past transactions, understood all of the junk bonds inside of the subprime mortgages. We just have an excerpt that he believes that new money is running dry, right? Whatever he thinks new money is. We're out of cash, is his opinion. I think he might be looking at the volume here and thinking that I'm also now going to be pretty darn impatient. Anthony B, no need to spam. Take a look at where we are relative to roughly about 12 hours ago. Well, not 12 hours, but like roughly from half a day ago yesterday. That's the same price level that we have maintained right around that $56 range. AJ Sargent says AMC and Jamie are not meme stocks. Maybe he means a crash after the mother of all short squeezes. If that's the case, Michael Burry, hi. Thanks for watching this show. Michael Burry, go ahead and come on this show and tell us a little bit more about what you mean, because I'm sure everyone is excited to hear. BlackBerry is another Reddit stock that's all hat, no cattle. This is the expert. Look at him. All hat, no... I've never heard of that phrase before. Okay, he believes that speculative trading propping up these meme stocks could hurt regular investors. Okay, like I said, this is your time. Understand that if you are feeling like paper handing, nobody's stopping you. Make sure you understand that you are investing in a volatile stock and you should not have invested more than you're willing to lose. However, one of the things that people are going to start pounding on is the first person to say, I'm out. Right? Michael Burry was never in, as far as I'm aware. But when one person on the like talking head show says, I'm out for good, you just expect that there's going to be more turmoil before there's more stability. And that said, that's been the message that we have had this entire time. Nobody's giving you financial advice. If you can't take the heat, kitchen exit is right over there. Michael Burry is not a turd blossom, says Jay Lee. He is not. Joel says, hey, Andrew. Don't want to say I told you so, but check EEENF for me again. This company has deep value, probably has been bought out by 88 Energy, baby. All right, EEENF. I'm going to have to open up another Lux. Deluxe. Howie is adamant that Burry didn't say that. Fair enough, right? Burry didn't tweet it. He said it somehow to Barron, and the only person that can confirm that is Barron, unless Michael Burry comes on the show, of course. EEENF. It's already 88 Energy. Did you say they could? This company has deep value, probably will be bought out by 88 Energy. Well, it currently is 88 Energy. So in case that was newsworthy for you. Let's come back over here. Can I move my chart, please? Thank you. Okay, strong buy signal from a rip of, oh, this is real penny stocks. This 2 pennies all the way up to 3 pennies. 50% rip after a strong buy signal from Lux. Very cool. Seems like right now it had dipped into the upper Bollingers for a swift reversal, but touched the EQ cloud, dipped its feet in, and then now is back for more. This is a potential double top. But if there was a bearish pullback, that has already occurred, currently trading at 2 cents and 0.8 of a cent, almost 3 cents. Christina Lee thinks there's a deadline for hedges to buy back. Now there's another deadline, we don't do dates on this channel, so we haven't been saying that hedge funds have any deadlines whatsoever, no expirations for their shorts because they just have to pay interest every day. BlackBerry's making a great point. You know, we've covered that in terms of the theoretical multiple times, multiple different DDs, but that's a question that you're going to have to play with as you do the prisoner's dilemma. As you work through how easy it is for apes to start thinking about the worst case scenario. That's the reason why it's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Philippe K says, once I get a profit I want, I'm gonna open up a bakery. Can't wait. They're gonna make 4 gardens, north, west, east, and south, and the bakery will be the middle. It will be amazing. That'll be your dream job. That's beautiful. Now, Philippe, I'm gonna steal that. No, I wouldn't do that for you. I'll build like a ramen shop or something, or a boba shop, something that like, or a sushi place. Oh, revolving sushi place. Sorry, I just got super excited about the future attendees coming in. Best dip time has been 12:30 p.m. EST for AMC. Okay, well that's in about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Philippe, that's a beautiful story. Ooh, hot pot. Let's see. Burry says this is a godsend for these companies. GameStop has taken advantage of its massive rally to raise new capital. And there's that full Barron's article. How dare you start talking about other stuff. Oh, where's your budget? Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's boring. There's some fun news going on right now. And if you guys haven't caught up yet, I was listening to some news in the, and it's all law related, let's say. There's some lawsuits getting thrown around. Some judgments are causing some people to become free and some people to enter criminal investigations. Oh. Apes are the new SEC. We are much faster now. Yo, Chance the Rapper tweeted at Trey. That's awesome. What a dream. Na 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 na. Hmm. %800 margin requirement to short AMC and GME using E-Trade. This is from today. So that's some screenshot from a conversation with E-Trade. Can you tell me what the margin requirements are for AMC and GME and if there's a hard to borrow? The current for shorting GME, the requirement is 800%. For AMC, it is also 800%. Daniel Saw says, don't listen to Michael Burry's FUD. He shorted Tesla, and look what happened to his position. He's not always right. Exactly. Sushi with a cat cafe inside. Sushi train cat. Aww. You guys have some pretty good ideas. Let's see. Deviant Way says, I'm going to buy a news station with my attendees all fair and balanced. Apes equals anonymous punishment enforcement supervisors. That's not bad already. Forget about the SEC. There's the APES now. Hamza's gonna ask for the bullish triangle. These are pennants. Whoop. Pennant. That's how easy it is. I'm just putting it right where I would be if I zoomed out. AMC is still trending at that $56 zone. Hodo, says Trey Spider. Ape MC, that's the ticket here. Oh. Elbow stretch. Make sure that you guys are staying limber. That's loose and limber. Come on. How we talked about the mainstream FUD. We talked about exactly what Barron's alleged that Mr. Michael Burry said. If Michael Burry did not say that, assume that a lawsuit is going to come up between him and Barron because he is a very, he's going to protect his words, right? If that was not a real interview with him and Barron's, then sure. But if it is, then sure. Doesn't affect how the apes hold. But I don't think anybody's buying any FUD. People. It takes so much time, bud. It's like, where's food? Good boy. We give him the pats. Nathan Adams said something about safe bet most meme stocks will crash like Koss is doing, but GM and AMC will hold strong forever. Yeah, Ivy Creek says AMC pennant very bullish. Study why young adults are taking big risks. That's fun. Digital stock trading will see more regulation. Oh, is this an actual video? There's a storm coming, Master Bruce. AMC outpaces stock market gains. What you need to know, says Zax. Okay, where did that article go? Wait, not that one. Digital stock trading likely to see more regulation, Betterment CEO. The Robinhood paid 70 mil to settle regulatory allegations. What is this? What is this? Eduardo says, hello from New York City. Keep up the good hard work. Thanks. Good to be here. Okay, here it is. Here is digital trading likely to see more regulation from the Betterment CEO. What kind of regulation are we talking about? Oh, he's the editor-in-chief?
Investing and then protecting retail traders from themselves?
Well, that is the multi-billion-dollar or perhaps trillion-dollar question. I think what's a little bit, disheartening is the notion that retail traders, don't understand. Many of them don't understand how difficult it is over the long term to make money, picking stocks, and they don't necessarily understand the asymmetry of information and the idea that people who do this professionally do have a tremendous amount more information than they do. Now, there are some things that technology has obviously advanced in terms of, day traders and investors' ability to sort of band together to drive outcomes. But the notion that you're always going to be at sort of the right moment in that, group think, I think is unlikely. And so it seems to me that there's likely to be more regulation, and that the government in particular could do a better job of education. And
some of you are saying that this video has been flagged for mature content. Maybe it's because all of the Portnoy conversation. Let me see if I can change that.
So I think where we at Betterment think we can be helpful is through education and guidance. We don't plan to be a platform for day trading, but I do think we can be a platform that is empowering with information. And so the hope is that over time, investors will get burned in ways that are not catastrophic, but that teach them important lessons about how to balance your long-term safety net, for example, with your play money and gambling. And I think it is in that dichotomy that they'll get the best outcomes.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit more about regulation. Do you feel that the pressure to regulate fintech is coming mostly from legacy companies, or are there legitimate questions? And what do you think the SEC is going to end up doing here?
It's really hard to predict. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we need the process to play out, and I'm not really a prognosticator on these things. I think that the biggest challenge is making sure that the regular investor does not get hurt by the system and the tools available to them. There are complex tools being put in the hands of many. And, just like power tools, right? We wouldn't expect anybody to be able to use a nail gun, right? I mean, it's sort of a similar concept that, with training comes better outcomes. And so I think training and education are the pathway. And by the way, I do think the government could play a hand in helping to require more of that education. But beyond that, I can't really predict the specifics because this is really complex and it's evolving incredibly quickly.
The stock market is the largest casino in the entire world. So if you think about it, at the end of the day, you're really playing around with the question of, well, the more education you put out there, the more people are going to have to trade. The more people that are trading are going to have more of these events happen, these five black swan events where they end up putting a lot of their money exactly where you told them to, right? In their investments. So at the end of the day, it ends up being a question of, well, who are these people kidding? If it comes down to how simple it is to make better choices. Education is so important, but if you're blaming people for speculating now, if you're blaming people for making a stand with their democratic process of voting for a stock with their money then you're probably not going to give them a chance when they're fully educated either. I like how Taylor says, it's not a casino, it's a trading card game with labor statistics. The scariest thing that people have to say, I'm the government and I'm here to help. Dan Blair, it's a nail gun. If I point at my head, who knows what's going to happen if we don't have the information? Who knows? I could speculate, but then I don't have the education here. Good afternoon, everyone. What's up, Rosita? ¿Qué tal? Cowwit says, LOL. You act like that's something I care about. I'm here for tendies, not beauty tips. And now we are done. We're done with any potential ape infighting. Let's see. Kenneth says, no use educating when you let the market makers rig everything. People just have to educate, you know? And I also have access, so I'm going to look at Howie's email, but I also have access to the archived tweets from Michael Burry's account. But I just want to make sure that I'm giving you a fair shake. Oh, this one. Crash is coming. Big for meme stocks, big short investor company, says Barron's.com. Okay. All right. This is a godsend for these companies. All right. An hour ago, deathbed perspective to this creative as I die. Oh man, this is getting into a lot of it. Hold on. Okay, I'm not sure how to read this, so I'm gonna put this on screen. You guys decide. These are tweets from Cassandra. As we know, this is Michael Burry's Greek Sonar. So we have been sent the crash is coming from meme stocks, Barron's article here. And then deathbed perspective to be this creative as I die. There's Cassandra talking about that. Goat, he says 2 torches. He's referring to AMC and GME. So here it is. 2 torches light up the way as they beckon from below to the groves of the willows where the seeds of hate we sow. Hashtag RIP Alexi. Okay. Seems like he's talking about RIP Alexi. Deathbed perspective. Okay. So this is not proof that he is talking about AMC and GME. Now that I'm understanding this a little bit better. Thanks for sending it to me. It's good that you're researching this. This is not proof that he's talking about AMC or GME, although it would be really cool if he was. It's the band's lyrics. There we go. John Nicholas says, now we have the problem. These people can't even figure out how to use a nail gun. Okay, second camera going. In 3, 2, 1, boom. Camera 2. Now I gotta start listening to that band. The band in question. Okay, where is that charger that I was having a second ago? Is this it? Cool. When the big fish gamble, they are smart money. When we gamble, we need their protection from ourselves. Let me help you protect you from yourself. Howie Roseman says he's saying that the crash is coming due to Kenny's F-up in GME and AMC. Okay, roger that. David Ramirez. Shorts have changed in AMC and GME. AMC down to 18%. This is yesterday reported as 94 million, but the more impressive to borrow a phrase, the bigger change is that GME's short interest, as reported by Ortex, is now below 10% for the first time since the January squeeze. And we're still here. Do not fear, we are still here. Okay, apes, we're done. We're done talking. No, we're gonna turn this stream around if you guys don't behave yourselves. Deviant Way says, I'm an idiot when it comes to the stock market, but I'm allowed to own and shoot all of my guns into 3 of my gun safes. Doc, it hurts when I do this, says Ivy Creek. Laser Dave says, yeah, well, then why are their margin requirements was still 800%? Math no equal. Math no equal. David Ramirez, I appreciate that. Gotta make sure that math equals, guys. Ooh, Oh, look, there was a TD Ameritrade. So I heard AMC was hard to get, stock and brokers rejecting orders. They tested a TD Ameritrade out with 100 shares. Dave Portnoy. He tried to get in the news yesterday. He was waiting for his $700,000 check from Vlad Tenev after Robinhood was ordered to pay $70. What a loser, sore loser there is. But to be fair, Robinhood, where is all of the money? Where is all of the money? Connor says, so, do you think since none of us are buying, this is potentially going to go down? You don't know that people aren't buying. There's barely any volume. 23 million volume on the day with 500 million free float, right? You're looking at an average volume of 150 million that we haven't even scraped halfway into a third of it. We have a sixth of the average volume that we normally have, and it's already been 3 hours into the trading day. Let's see. Maui Sam is in the stock. Gold Corgi in the house. Good morning, Don Roberto. Oh, Don, we got your ties. Meatball is wearing them right now. Everyone, throw rockets in the chat for Don Roberto. Thank you so much for those cute little meatball ties. He's wearing 2. His little green plaid one here. Thanks for sending that in the PO box. All Boogie says, where can I find my latest interview on a Tobit? The video on the channel ends mid-sentence at like 17 minutes. Yes, All Boogie, look at the video directly after that one. Here, I'll help out. Yeah, maybe people are looking for this interview. They can't find it. You go down here. This is the video with Austin Tobit that ends in 17 minutes. This is the video with Austin Tobit that lasts for like at 2.5 hours. I should change the thumbnail. I shall change the thumbnail so that people can know that this is the Austin Tobit interview. A Tobit. Have apes evolved? Bobby Wade says, what's up? How's everybody doing today? Educating to them means indoctrinating. John Machado says, Andrew, sorry, would you mind telling us about the reverse repos and what they mean? They made my brain shrivel up when I try to do my own DD. The inverse relationship between reverse repos and the amount of cash the US government has, right? That's the main thing to take away. So Austin Tobit talks about that in the first like 10 minutes of our 2.5 hour interview. So go ahead and check that out. Let's see if the thumbnail already updated. Probably not. Bobby Wade was covered that in just a second. Yeah, they haven't yet. So this is the video with Austin Tobit here. Have Apes Evolved featuring Austin Tobit. Go click this one and you'll be able to hear me talk about reverse repos with him for like 10 minutes. Why you can't upgrade and downgrade every day. So there's another Barron's article. Barron's has become the new Motley Fool with these negative articles here. Isabel, what's up? Ashray Wadwa says, hey Andrew, thank you so much for what you do. Tons of love from India. Can you shout out my brother Ruse, Andrew, Akansh, Yash, Harsh, and PD? Hey, guys, Ashray's brother Ruse, you guys are the real deal, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bobby Wade, here's the short interest change. Down only 2%. That's a data correction, right? Because 2% of 10 is not a whole percentage point. That's a whole 5% change. Well, actually, no, that's a 10% change. So there should be another 10% change to bring it down from 10 point blankety blank to 9 point blankety blank. GME, AMC is also down, but still above 18%. Motley is a fool. Uh-oh. RTVIC says, when's the next buy signal? Now. Not quite. Not yet, at least. Look at GME as well. Yeah, both of these are recovering from strong sell signals. Kristen Gallo says, we had economics and things, but I went to one of my top schools in the area. Exactly. Why is economics such a hard topic to teach? Honestly, you don't have to teach microeconomics. You don't have to teach it at like a research level. You could just have to teach about how to open up an investment account and what a Roth IRA is. When are you qualified for it? How much is the max contribution? Why do you want to contribute? What is the point of saving up for retirement? All of these things and more in your local public school systems coming up soon. George V says, for those who are scared, flip your screen upside down. The chart will look like it's going up. Perfect. You don't flip it upside down. Flip it 90 degrees. Can I flip this 90 degrees? Okay, here. Transform. Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. There we go. You see? No, we're joking. Michael Ryan says, please talk AMC, please. Right now, AMC is coming back down to its 55.30 level of support here. Going back over is the prerogative to try and regain some positive momentum. There's a potential double bottom here at 55 flat. That's a mental barrier here. No technicals other than the fact that AMC's been relatively low volume and yet pummeled by, pummeled in a way that like is still relatively tiny, 2.5% down, nearing a 3% dip today. Still, you can count those on your fingers. And Bobby Wade saying market is closed on Monday. Lori Blank says, that was really funny. Glad I have a laptop. Road at 45 degrees, you'll always be up. Boom. Yeah, the dividend in NFTs. People have been talking about that for a hot sec. NFTs. White House stimulus, blah, 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 blah. DD's 70 billion valuation justified, breaking down the debate. People talking a lot about DD's IPO. This is only a 3-minute video. Let's try and make sure that we are paying attention to new IPOs. These are new potential opportunities here. James K says, would you post a wallet address for BTC tips? I'm not sure if I can. I'll find out if I can. But for now, if you wanted to do one-time donations, PayPal is in the description down below for one-time donations. If you want to come on the end screen and hang out there, that's the join button or the Patreon link in the description. You guys get access to my 6-figure portfolio as well as exclusive Discord access as well. Nipul is asking, what is the next potential breakout for AMC? We're waiting for a 55 to be taken. 54.32 is the next level of support. 57.60 was the level of resistance that we couldn't cross today. Let's take a look at DD's valuation here.
DD Global, that's the Chinese ride-hailing giant. Of course, it went public on the New York Stock Exchange yesterday, and that raises a big question for investors. Does DD have the best position in the local delivery market, or will Uber and others win out? John Ford is here with this week's edition of On the Other Hand. Hi, John.
Hey, Becky. Yeah, I mean, Didi is in the best position because Didi is doing what the other ride-hailing companies said they were going to do, but backed away from. They've got ride-hailing in China, which is huge, by the way, with 15 million drivers and a growing middle class that's going to need their services.
Yes.
They've still got an autonomous driving business while Uber and Lyft spun theirs out. They built electric vehicles. They've got bikes and e-bikes, maintenance, food delivery, financial services, group buying. It's been clear from early on that local delivery is a scale game, and Didi has scale like no one else. And that's going to matter as Didi fights for ride-hailing share and builds new businesses outside China. I mean, think of what Google was able to build in the U.S. Now, yes, Google started with search when the web was coming of age, but that relationship with the user expanded to Gmail, YouTube, Maps, Android, just a portfolio of services that brought Google to where it is now with more than $1.5 trillion in market cap. So with Didi, after the first day of trade, it's worth just around $70 billion. And it's well positioned for the next phase of the digital economy, which is about blending physical and online transactions. Didi wins.
But, and there's always a but, investors are still valuing Uber at more than $90 billion. Of course, that's higher than Didi. So you think the market's missing something?
Well, on the other hand, Didi is maybe not so impressive. I mean, yes, it's got a big business in China. 94% of Didi's revenues come from China. Now, that's great. China's huge, but that doesn't make Didi a global delivery play, which is what it's going to need to be to compete with Uber and others. Then there's this idea out there that Didi has maintained big ambitions while Uber and others have backed away from them. Not really. Uber still has a big investment in things like autonomous driving and helicopter service. It just wisely got outside investors to take stakes in those businesses to lower the risk. But let's address the central idea here that scale is such a great advantage in local delivery. I'm not sure that's true. I mean, Didi's got this big portfolio of businesses in ride-hailing, autonomous EVs, food delivery in Mexico, sure. But it's also got to invest in them to grow them, and that hasn't been hard at a time when interest rates are low and capital is cheap, but things are changing. Take DoorDash. It mostly delivers food, not people. But in the past couple months, DoorDash has updated the way it charges restaurants, and it's added grocery delivery. That type of acceleration comes with focus. And by not trying to do everything, companies with more focused models are probably going to pull ahead of Didi as the competition goes global, Becky.
John, how will we know if Didi's model...
So, it looks like John is bullish on Didi's valuation. It makes sense. I mean, as of right now, this was the whole reason why Uber could not find a foothold in the Chinese market. Seems like a strong position for Didi to start off with and make a lot of money on the wayside. Let's see. I'm gonna give Meatball a tie. He's gonna get a new tie. You're gonna get a new tie, Meatball. What color tie do you want today? There's so many different ties. I wouldn't say this is a tank. In fact, we are already catching a break at 54.59. But Enzo, that's a good point, right? When does a stock face a bear trend, and how do you cause it after a day of consolidation? Meatball, you're so cute right here. Let me open up my account here. As always, you guys know my password is Blink182. My head really be blocking the positions here. Come on. Hold up. There it is. And the GME sign is blocking my GME position. There it is. Jessa says, I'm hanging in with a million things to do today. Yikes. Jess, I hope your day goes better. KPM, that's for you. ¿Qué está pasando? We have a potential convergence of the oscillators here. They cross over from bearish, though both have been in the bearish for the entire day. AMC has been crossing over into the the oversold green Bollingers for a potential bounce for the last 15 minutes, roughly. Okay, out of here. SGTSLY just bought another AMC share. It's easy to. They're kind of like popcorn right now. Like bingo bongo. Okay. No one makes a name for themselves. Taking action against naked shorts. That is going to be the funniest line possible in the near future. No one makes a name for themselves. Oh, really? Aw, let's take a look at the art some of you have sent in the mail. We got Andrew. I have a pocket protector here. I'm working on a laptop. We got some figurines in the back. And we got Meatball dabbing in the corner. Awesome. Any kind of art you guys have to send it over to Andrew Mo Money on Instagram or on the andrewmobusiness@gmail.com email. Very sweet. Thank you so much, Matt. The sideways trading is going to continue going on for the rest of the day, I feel. If there's a potential breakout, you know for a fact we'll be jumping on a stream ASAP. But the longer that this continues, the more people might have the wrong interpretation. And I want to create a video that specifically deals with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So if we end the broadcast today, we're not going to come back during the power hour unless there is a ripping. Of course, then you have to have your bell icons on. You have to turn your bell icons on next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on when we go live again. Aw, Lori Blank says you can take 12 art submissions and make them a calendar. Oh, that's very nice. Taylor Westmore says thanks for the free stock on Webull, Andrew. Hey, Taylor. My pleasure. If you want to be like Taylor, grab your stock on Webull. It's the same trading software that I'm using right now. I mean, it's a good deal. You get a free trading software and 2 free stocks. Aw, KPM says, I don't really watch YouTube streamers. I only looked at a couple of AMC live all day streamers. I respect that you're not only listening to paid chats. Keep what you're doing. Glad to hear that, KPM. There, you get to chill with us for the day. Blazer Dave would like me to check the options chain. Let's see. Oh, there it is. So this is from today. Looking like $35 has become a contested battleground. Some people are buying deep in the money calls, and some people are buying deep out of the money puts at $35. Weird, because we saw these puts first, I think. The puts were here first, and then these were calls. So someone has looked at the options chain and said, oh, I'm just going to buy some calls here, even though they would be deep in the money. Strange. Jezebel says, I think you got the latency thing down. There isn't a weird lag as they're perfectly synced. Perfectly balanced as everything should be, yo. Nathan Adams says, hey, can you show me how to make my Webull desktop look like yours? Heck yeah. All you gotta do is search Andrew Mo Webull, and you'll be able to find my tutorial for the Webull desktop. It's the first video that shows up when you search Andrew Mo Webull. CH1NKYI. What is the email you sent at? I'll go check. Bendover says, Gus, the bull pennant has multiple false breakouts to the top and bottom. This price action is so low volume, it means nothing. Very, very low volume until we consolidate properly. AMC returns to the 54.31 level of support. Hello, old friend. Didn't think you would see me again. Yep, that is my email. I'll check in just a second. Give me an opportunity to actually munch on something later today as well. Oh, my nose is getting all stuffaroni. Let's go, come on. There you go. Ew, this treat has exploded in my hand. Good boy. Oh, he's getting those head scratches. He's getting the scratches. Shamachado says, did I effing hear right? Hedgies have to buy $1 trillion in treasury bonds to use as leverage collateral towards shorting stocks while continuing AMC obsolete cont. C-O-N-T. You're going to continue your message in a second. Okay. Tom says, hey Andrew, there are 2 or 3 live streamers I go watch from time to time, but you are #1, very informative. Thank you. Pam the Trader says, greetings from SoCal. Can't trade, getting ready for the work, but have a great day. I'm patiently holding. What's up, Pam? Glad you came in here. Mel Chance, a little bit of patience, a little bit of everything. Okay, here's the Sean Machado's second part of his message. Obsolete AMC bonds to create an infinite short shares loop. We've talked about infinite short shares a while ago. Just remember that there's always a cost component to it. It's not free to enter these infinite loops. It might be an infinite loop of not having to locate more shares, but it's not a free loop where they just constantly gather more energy, like a rolling, like a perpetual energy machine. Nick Pedro wants to look at LKNY. Sure, real quick though. We don't have that much time. We gotta look at LKNY really quick. Mr. and Mrs. T says Andrew is our favorite too. Aw, you guys. So sweet of you to say. We got lots of friends here. Mr. and Mrs. T. I pity the fool that doesn't, Are you guys like a real estate channel? Doesn't go subscribe to Mr. and Mrs. T. Okay, LKNY did not get me anything. Sean Machado comes back again, but I did understand correctly that they use the US economy as collateral to cheat the Grim Reaper. Yes, you have understood that correctly. We'll cover that DD as well in the later videos for today. So remember, later videos today are going to be big ones. Those of you who have subscribed, you know what it is. You're going to be able to hear about it and then hang around a little bit longer. Nicholas Ocampo, I'm number 3200. Hooray! Daniel says, Andrew, you're my second favorite behind Professor Meatball, of course. Daniel, I think you owe me a shirt size on email. I need to send you your free shirt for the giveaway. Krispy Kreme is non-profitable. We have some thoughts about Krispy Kreme right now. Uh-oh, Kramer tweeted 39 minutes ago. What could he have said? Jim Cramer. AMC catches a break at 54. 54 flat on the day is the low and brings it back up to the simple moving average. I don't see Kramer's tweet from 39 minutes ago. Oh, not Kramer. Okay. Parody account. In no way affiliated with Jim Cramer. Everything I say is a joke unless you're a GME bull. Oh, Jim Cramer has blocked this other account. 4D Chess. Twice now he's posted at 7:41 p.m. According to SEC section 741 regards stockbroker liquidation. That's a stretch. Kramer does like the salad. He loves those Wendy's salads. He can't stop. Bingo, says Howie. Okay, let me plug in my good camera in a second. Nice camera on. Turn on. Bad camera off. There we go. Okay, so we had a lot of we covered a lot of ground today. We also have the options chain continuing to be an enigma wrapped in a ball of mystery. I'm going to analyze this a little bit offline. I want to thank you guys for chilling with us the morning. It's about 2 hours away from power hour. If the stock continues to rip upward, right? If there's a surprise rip, I will be back. So make sure to turn your bell icons on. If you guys wanted the 2 free stocks from Webull, that offer is still going on, and the 20% off of Lux algorithm continues on into the new quarter. Hope you guys have an excellent rest of your day, and remember to watch the videos end to end of the ones I'm going to upload a little later in the day. Come back on this stream and then leave a comment to prove that you are here to the entire world, and we'll see you in the money for now, but not for forever. Peace.